Stocks back to the upside here once again this morning as we look to add to more gains. Record highs for both the NASDAQ and the S&P yesterday. Working on day 9 for the S&P, day 11 for the NASDAQ as we get more strength from tech specifically coming through. Tons of individual names to talk about this morning. TSM, one of those. Pepsi, one of those on the earnings front. Once again, both having pretty good moves here so far this morning. This birds back to doing birds type of things so far today. It was trying to get going back through 13. I was watching it earlier. We've come back since, but hanging out on that support level from after the close yesterday. What a move for Allbirds, the AI company. If you missed that story yesterday, it was a unique one to say the least. First time above 7,000. Here we are. Can we hold for another day? Let's see what today brings. There is a fair number of economic releases to talk about this morning. First off, coming up at 8:30, initial jobless claims for last week. We'll get continuing claims as well for last week. Philly Fed coming through at 8:30 as well. So we'll bring those to you as they come out. So far this morning, manufacturing production as well. 9:15, and then we get natural gas. It's Thursday, so natural gas inventory is coming through at 10:30 this morning. A little bit of Fed speak throughout the day as well. We have a musical chairs kind of situation going on here this morning because of some technical changes, upgrades that are happening. Sharif is that way for me.
Hey, Brendo.
Be over here, but now you can see him. There he is. Morning, Sharif.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, Brendo. Lots to talk about today. Google, yet in focus again in the European Union. They want them to share their data with other search engines and other chatbots as well. Under the DMA, we were talking about that. Amazon sellers putting pressure on the company saying, look, you're taking all our margins, so that's in focus. And then Elon Musk really pushing down on the accelerator now with the Terafab. Lots to talk about there. And then we saw Cadence pop yesterday aggressively, Brendo, on that collaboration with Google and NVIDIA. Taiwan Semi, as you mentioned, with earnings. Pepsi, Live Nation also dropping aggressively after losing that jury trial yesterday. And Marvell getting a nice bullish upgrade. Lots to talk about today. No shortage of names.
Yeah, not a lot to look at as far as the Pepsi report goes. We are back to the upside right now. I was just noticing coming into yesterday's high. I mean, pretty good numbers across the board. It was kind of meh. Really, when you dig into it, the forecast a little bit on the weak side overall. Tesla with a pretty good day yesterday, back in play here this morning. Just hearing, just jumped up above 396 again. This thing was just absolute monster yesterday, up and away. 394, 395 coming into play in a hurry here. If you look on a daily chart, we took out that downtrend and then some for Tesla. So have we finally made the turn? I mean, we were talking earlier in the week about some more and more positive comments, more and more positive talk coming out about this company, and it looks like finally that things starting to play for them.
And I really like the fact that they're pushing that vertical integration, Breno. You know that they make their own batteries. Obviously, they design everything in-house. And this is just kind of the extension of that, right? They're relying far too much on Taiwan Semi and Samsung. And so they're decided to go at it alone with the Terafab releasing a picture of that new AI 5 chip yesterday that they are tapped out on online yesterday on X, Elon Musk posting that. But Breno, I don't know if you had an opportunity to watch the new Marques Brownlee video. He dropped a new review on the CLA EV. This thing's under 50 grand, so very much a Model 3 competitor. About 550 kilometers worth of range, 350 horsepower. It's stacked 3 monitors, one for the driver, one in the middle, one in the passenger. You know how much I love these frilly kind of cars, but it actually looked quite good. I'm not calling it a Model 3 killer or anything like that, but definitely a good competitive approach by Mercedes for that category.
You need that middle monitor, for, I don't know, red lights or something when the one in front of you is just not enough.
If you don't have 3 monitors in 26, what are you doing?
What are you even doing? Right? What are you even doing? I don't know. We'll continue to hang out. Just a word on what's happening around here once again. The work that's taking place right now is in order for the guys when they're at their trading desks to be able to turn around entirely and face the news desk so we can all be kind of in more of a conversational setting. So Rob and Mark and all the guys in the back hard at work at getting that done. But Sean is off. Much needed vacation, much deserved vacation for Sean. Our boy Joe is in the seat with Neil. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah. Joey 5K is in the seat here. And, well, some of you might know why that matters. Got to give the daps.
Yeah.
Recovery's going well.
It's going well, man.
Recovery from the ACL, ran 5K.
Yesterday.
Out of respect.
For dinner, man. For dinner. No, that's all I need. Mercedes coming out with an EV. That's all I need, Neil, is essentially more monitors so I can get in more trouble when I'm on the road there. No, aside from Pepsi, some of the discounts working. We know that the bags of chips are getting really expensive. $6 a bag of chip, which is absolutely insane. They're looking to revamp Gatorade as well, too.
Crack prices.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Inflation's a joke, man. It's real.
I'm personally not like a chip guy or anything along those lines. Like, I'll have nachos and chips. I'm not going to go buy a bag of chips or anything along those lines. But I mean, it's ridiculous when you look at some of the stores like the Metros around here, the Loblaws. It's like $6, $7 a bag, and if you're lucky to get a deal on them, then.
When you get older and you're like buying because like when you do like your kids' birthday parties and stuff, like you get like the
box with the little but even those are expensive.
But everything is everything's just more expensive. But you know what though? In order to keep up with that inflation, you could just be invested in the S&P 500, which hit an all-time high yesterday and is extending through. We're through 700 on the SPY. I know it's not the S&P. It's not looking at the futures. We're looking at the SPY, but strong start. I mean, look. It's been an unbelievable tear off of the lows here. But I think what Brennan said about like Tesla or like names like Robinhood and hims and hers in plays, the nuclear names, quantum, like there's a bunch of things that weren't participating as much. And like now, I'm going to draw this half-assed. And now are breaking out in a big way. Like that's a huge channel break. Get back above the 50. You got a 400 break potential on Tesla with the 200 period moving average. Then we got the PDT rule. Okay, you can't really say that everything that's going on in the Robinhood, it's just because of the PDT rule change. It's not just that. Some of it's market sentiment, of course. Some of it's the recovery in Bitcoin, fine. But what matters is that it's happening and it's continuing. And it was strong. Tagging 90 plus actually, and it was a dip and rip yesterday. Looking for another dip and rip here today in Robinhood. There's a lot to look at. If there's one thing that you're like, okay, if we're nitpicking here, it's TSM, like kind of continuing this kind of, well, it doesn't really matter. We're not gonna care too much about the report. We're just gonna see it as an excuse to sell if you've run into the highs. So much like ASML, there's not too much you're going to be able to nitpick to hate on here for TSM, but it did still push down. It's recovered a lot, but I'd say so far so good. We'll get Netflix after the bell tonight. Just another example of not stock, a fantastic runner. I mean, you think about for how long on the way down. It wasn't like I'm not going to sit here and say we're the only people saying it, but I would imagine there were a lot of people that were of the sentiment Netflix is getting punished, and the street doesn't like this Warner Brothers deal situation. And then literally right when it went the other direction is just the easiest breakout trade there is. And it held at 100, and I think it's got a little bit more room to go. I got to go to something which is split adjusted so you can see this even better. I think it's still got some room to go, even though it made it to the 200 period moving average on the daily. So like that whole breakout to get to the 200 period, it's already happened. But there's a little bit more to a gap fill here at 110. I think that remains on radar. Oh, and don't forget what happened to NVIDIA yesterday, that 200 level.
Yeah, rejected 200.
Big rejection at 200. So that was actually one of the more distinct things, and it rolled over from there again today. So I think that just remains a level until it's not. I think no matter how strong the market is, anytime you see a level like this emerge, you got to respect it. So yeah, we got a lot to get to, a lot to cover. I think there's even a bunch of small cappers in there. I saw Mike was
going on about a couple of them over there.
Yeah, discussing with some few of his friends.
Yeah. Aside from that, no, Neil. I think just so many of the stars aligned essentially for this market rebound. You were talking about Netflix not too long ago, essentially dropping out of the bidding war with Warner Brothers, Paramount, Skydance, and then also the increase in subscription premiums for the American users as well too. So that's going to be coming in better than expected. So the ad tiers as well. So there's a lot going on, and then same thing with Robinhood. You have the PDT being removed, and then you have these technical breakouts. Everything's starting to align, and I think it's looking pretty good for the market. You have Tesla with a channel break as well too, so it's looking good in the market right now. Surprisingly so, TSM gapping down a little bit here. 370.47 is where we're currently trading it. They're beating gross margins. So, I mean, there's a lot going on, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a slight rotation into some of these names that have been getting beaten up as of late, and then they can continue to climb, like the Robinhoods, the Netflixes, and who knows what's going to happen with NVIDIA. We tap into that $200 mark and reject, but I think it's only a matter of time. We're only about 5% off the all-time high, so I think at some point we're going to break that, especially if we continue on this trajectory.
I mean, I can't see a way we don't get there. And the other side of the coin, which I find did we go the entire open not talking about Iran? Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have the ceasefire as well too, right? Like, so it's like, okay, yeah, cool. That was last week's news. What are we doing here now? Oh, technical breakout. Everything's moving. Yeah, exactly. In earnings. So yeah, I mean, the market's moving. A massive day in Tesla yesterday. So there's just a whole bunch going on. Let's see if you get some continuation. We look at the technical breakout here from a daily standpoint, and it's like, okay, we're waiting for this downtrend to be broken. Now we have that substantial amount of volume stepping in, the most that we've seen since essentially November of last year. Boom, and then off to the races we go, and it's just 5-6 straight up days almost for Tesla here to start the month. So it's looking pretty good. A lot of things are looking pretty optimistic in my opinion, and I think earnings are going to support that as well.
Yeah, before we jump back to the desk, just want to shout out this We Shop Holdings. WSHP up 320%. 320%. What is this? What is the story here? Is there like a social e-commerce program? What's going on with this? What? I'm not even seeing a story here. There's got to be a catalyst. Well, I'll keep digging, but either way, this seems like it's the biggest runner on a percentage basis. I don't even have float data on this one. I'll have to check a second source. It literally says like not applicable. Nothing there. Maybe it's just that small, but it is one of the biggest runners. It just went to $41 and it just pulled back $10 in the last couple of minutes. And that's after almost doubling here from the time that we came on air, like at 8 o'clock. So there's a big one. Sometimes you don't necessarily always need a catalyst. It's just you can have social media driven, low float, and all that good stuff. But you just want to be careful, right? Like it's, what was the one yesterday we were talking about? It was Bird, right? And I'm not. This is not a. Like I don't want stocks to go down. If you're holding, I wish everybody the best. But you know the change they made in their business. Well, it's interesting to go from a shoe company to AI infrastructure. That's great. They got $50 million to be able to do this or try to make this transition and change the ticker and all that. But if that's the only thing, and it appreciates like. My first thought is, oh, will they drop an offering on everybody to take advantage of it? The risk overnight is going to be different. And all the support and strength this had all afternoon, and then it's gapped down underneath.
$50 million, though, that's chump change to what
it's like not even a lot of money
to what some of these guys are spending. So, I mean.
We got Oracle and Amazon Web Services announcing a partnership to expand multi-cloud networking. I know I should type Oracle first and look to see if that's responding, but yeah, it's old habits die hard, and I own Amazon shares, so that's the first place I look. It's not really moving on that story. Probably more of a big deal for Oracle. Another name with a big rebound. I mean, Oracle, the bottom is in on this one, you know, and it seems pretty clear, catching up with the rest of the market. Now you're up 4.5% again today. One-way course for about 180 to 185, it looks like on the daily. Oracle beast, and another positive headline. So again, lots to watch. You're in the right space. Buckle up for sure, everybody. I don't know, the one thing is that white? Yeah, well, it looks kind of white. I feel like this is the second time I didn't get the memo that I'm supposed to wear a white shirt.
Mine's more or less cream. I don't know. Brando's might have a little blue.
Okay.
I think blue there we got going on.
I'm trying to add a little bit of color to the team.
Oh.
What?
What? What, Sharif?
What did you mean, Sharif?
I'm there with you, Neil.
Oh, all right.
I'm right there with you, baby.
The green lining. I'm gonna go with the cream. You know, it's like a movement, right? Like the tan cream thing that everybody's got going on. Yeah, apparently, like the cream baby.
Real?
If Sharif's been to my house, everything is tan and cream.
I know for a fact that Selena probably decorated that place.
Come on, man.
For a fact that she decorated. God, I know you weren't decorating that place. Joey has actually a beautiful apartment, by the way, guys. Really well.
See, I only played one part in that, and that's essentially just a credit card swipe, you know what I mean? And you just pay for it, and it's like, we need this, and that. I have no say.
I know you were responsible for that TV as well, too. That's you.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, did we need something that big? And then sure enough, you know how that usually goes.
It's not whether you need, it's whether you want it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, most of the time, it should be what you need.
I have it's like 70-something inches. Like, what do you, I mean?
75, it's a good one.
Yeah, it's a big one, man. Big one.
That's what you need. Oh, did we get a super chat that I missed? My bad. We're having a lot of fun here. Where is it? Oh no. Oh, there it is. Okay. Appreciate you, Only God Lives. Caps hits earnings, moves to profitability, up 25%. Micro cap, no float. Oh my goodness, there's so many of these. This will be, Sharif, it hit 80 cents, so it should be on your scanner if it tries to go to $1. Just always be careful. We say this all the time, like just to steal a line from Sharif, these are around for a good time, not a long time. And usually, zoom out even further, like you get a very good sense of like the patterns here. You'll have Luis come on and saying most of the time when stocks like this will gap up, and you will often end up closing in the red from the open. This has already lost VWAP. It's already lost the dollar. So a lot of times people have made their money either getting in really early and taking the run because it gave you a double up. And even if you waited for it to like bounce off, like, I don't know, like 90 cents back to $1, like he could have made another 10, 15% there. It needs to prove now that it can break this downtrend. It can get back above VWAP, a buck, or give you some kind of a base to work off. Just remember that the small cap game sometimes can be heavily geared toward prior to 9:30, and then you'll have a select few that are your jam. After the fact. Like even that one that began with a W, I think that already came back in pretty heavily as well. Another super chat, we've got David Clark. We'll throw that one up here. David, hi Trader TV, looks like we have found some initial resistance here at 7,000. Tim Hortons coffee run.
Thanks.
I got my cup of Joe here, although I don't even know if Randy's in to get a fresh refill. I have tax day help for all 1 SPX options equals 1 ES futures contracts at 60/40 tax advantages. It is tax season, isn't it? That's everyone's favorite time of the year.
Yeah,
it is. It is. It's not. It's not anybody's favorite time of the year. Nobody likes taxes except for the people that collect them.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong. But you know what? At the end of the day, like if you're a trader, and we're here in Canada, like there's always, regardless, you have to understand the rules where you are, whatever jurisdiction. People in our audience are trading all around the world. Maybe it's a primary income, secondary income, like all of these. You just have to understand, like, you know, try to follow. You should always follow the rules is the best way to put it. I have some stories from traders that got cute like years ago that we knew on the floor. I'm just like, what are you doing, man? It's not worth it.
No, it's definitely not. It's definitely not worth it.
Just give the tax man their due.
Yeah, I don't think everyone's ever said, yeah, I'm so happy I paid tax on that. But yeah, aside from get the taxes done, see if you get anything back. As long as you don't owe anything, then it's typically much better. But I mean, hey man,
well, important to have something.
April 30th, right?
Yeah. Well, for us here, it's April 30th.
Yeah.
For sure. And we got like many. Caesar just made an interesting question here because. Are you buying anything, and this was addressed to me, are you buying anything in the long term or waiting for some type of a market-wide pullback? So I've always been more of I like to buy dips, and sometimes I buy early on dips. I bought the SPY I bought Apple on the day that they had that, it was like a dip buy in the SPY on the way down. I bought Apple on that crazy, it was the fold day. I don't know what else to call it. It was the fold delay day at that bottom. I bought Netflix on the Warner Brothers thing. I bought Robinhood in this consolidation. I was a little bit early on Robinhood because I liked the structure on the daily chart, so I was buying this consolidation, and obviously it broke down a little bit, but now it's looking pretty solid. And that was money that I was going to put into SoFi because I'd sold some SoFi at the top, and I decided to put it into Robinhood because I wanted to own some shares there. I think you just got to pick and choose. I bought a little bit of NVIDIA as well, so it's like a lot of this is on the way down. And then the prior quarter, in the prior quarter, well, much earlier in the year, like right at the beginning of the year, I had bought some Meta that was looking pretty bad, and now that looks better. I just find sometimes you've got to be buying things when it doesn't look good. You know, like I like buying dips like this in stocks that I like, and sometimes it's the right time, and maybe you should have bought there. Same with the SPY, but I'm happy with it because when the market gets to the highs, I'm not thinking about, do I need to buy up top? I try to buy on the way down of the companies that I like. I bought some GE Vernova, but I also rang the register on the portion that I rebought when it got back to 1,000. Let's go talk, I can see right now, about some options plays because volatility makes the game more interesting. Joe?
Good stuff, guys. All right, welcome. And let's take a look at some of the options activity here from yesterday's session. A lot going on, guys. We're going to kick things off with Tesla and a lot to talk about in regards to Tesla. Now, we're going to start it off with the open interest as we typically do, 24,200 contracts. But what we want to focus on is this $400 strike price. This might be a next potential zone. We've seen the strength in yesterday's session. Now, in the coming days, and by the end of the week, let's see how we react and if we can get some form of continuation. One thing that I want to note is the substantial amount of volume contracts that were open and closed at that specific level, 131,000 contracts at that zone. Now, our bid and the ask, $5 spread. That's not too bad for Tesla here, guys. And then you can see, considering that we're slightly out of the money, our delta is going to be at that $33 mark. And then our gamma exposure, cool, but the at the money IV, 57%. That's about average here for Tesla. Now, as for the actual contract itself, substantial move here, guys. From 9:30 on yesterday's open to 30 minutes before the close, we have an 1,800% return. We're going from 26 cents or $26 all the way to $5.47 in that $400 strike price contract. Now, let's move on to the next contract. We're going to talk about... Next slide. There we go. Perfect. Robinhood, PDT rule, working in its favor. We have an additional technical breakout here, guys. We're going to be looking at this $100 mark. I think that's going to be the next step here for Robinhood in the post-market. We did climb up to that 91.30-ish level and starting to come back a little bit here this morning. But as for the open interest, guys, relatively speaking, that's quite a bit. For Robinhood, 25,900 contracts still open there, with 16,400 opened and closed on yesterday's session. Now, these aren't going to be anything relatively close to what the Tesla contracts were worth. We're looking at 15 cents on the ask, and if you're a writer, you're looking at collecting around $14 or so. All right, considering we're 10 points away, the delta is going to be relatively cool. Gamma exposure, relatively cool as well, but the at the money IV, we're seeing a slight uptick in the implied volatility, sitting around 78.5%. Now, as for the contract's appreciation, substantial as well. You're getting the triple digits. Once again, we're going to be looking at it from 9:30 to just before the close, and you got 848% right there, from $2 all the way up to $20. Now, let's move to the next contract, and that is going to be a combination of a couple. Now, we were just talking about Tesla not too long ago, but if you're looking to get involved and say, it's like, hey, I don't want to absorb and use all of this capital in order to acquire some of these shares, there's something that Scott the other day was talking about, and I want to touch on this a little bit here, all right? So essentially what we have established is a bull call spread. The other day we were talking about an iron condor, okay? So you would have seen the short put down here, the short put being at the lower end and your short call being at the higher end. But now we're just gonna focus on the call side, all right? So one thing that we're going to take a look at is this strike price at $395. It's worth $2,500, but you're like, I don't necessarily want to be paying that much. I'm thinking that maybe we can potentially get a breakout, but I want to reduce my cost and my premium paid. Well, what you can do is essentially reduce that cost by selling a call here at the strike price of $420, and you will collect $15, drastically reducing the cost of the combination of contracts. Now, what comes along with that? Obviously, you're not going to be able to have the same amount of gains, but the key metric here is that if the trade really starts to work out and you're like, okay, I have a lot of confidence in it, you can always just buy this contract back. But one thing to note, guys, we are going to have an end of the month, next month's expiration cycle. That is going to be May 29th, and same thing here. You could also use this in a calendar spread way as well. If you don't feel that you want to have the duration on your short call, you can reduce that and you can go to an earlier expiration cycle. But one thing that I want to do, let's move to the next slide, and we're going to look at our risk profile. Now, what we have here is a couple key metrics that we need to focus on, all right? So one thing, risk to reward. This is something that we always want to keep an eye on. 1.5, 1.5 roughly, with a probability of profit of 44%. Not too bad. But your max return on the combination of contracts is going to be $1,500. Now, where do you have to trade to in order to receive that max amount of premium? And that is going to be $500. Now, if you don't think by the end of May that Tesla is going to climb all the way to $500 so you can collect that amount of premium, then you can just buy back your short call. And that is how you construct a calendar spread. You can do multiple variations by reducing the short contract's expiration cycle and do a call calendar spread. For now, let's send it back to Neil.
That's why they call them Joey options, everybody. And hey, looking out to end of next month allows you to take advantage of next week's earnings potential move on Tesla, because they report next week. We get a bunch of earnings next week. It really starts to pick up after Netflix tonight. But look, Tesla's got to be on watch. I was mentioning, you were mentioning Robinhood as well, and I just feel like when you said that, I heard you say 100, and it was like, oh, that's music to my ears, because I love drawing trend lines. And I love it when you get the confluence of the whole downward trend line at the top on Robinhood is pointing right to like 100. Like right now, the top of the trend line is 101.6. But if you sort of extrapolate like how quickly we're bouncing, you feel like in a couple of days, like we could be really looking at almost like at the end of the week, that 100 level here is lining up with the top of that trend line. So that's where I think this move can get to. And until proven otherwise, like that's one I'm watching like really closely like a hawk. And maybe that also means that it has some trouble if we get there tomorrow. But you cross that. The thing is, you cross that bridge when you get there. It's kind of like NVIDIA with the 200. Okay, fair enough. It didn't continue through 200, but obviously it was a good long into that on NVIDIA, and kind of sucks what it did with the level yesterday, just given the fact that we closed on the highs. That was a pretty hefty reversal, but it is what it is. The longs were good going into that price.
Yeah, the game still closed relatively strong, right?
It's not the end of the world.
Exactly, and come on, we've been on a multiple, we're up how many percentage points off of those lows? It's 20% in the span of a couple of trading weeks. At some point, the market may retest that resistance zone, but I think it's only a matter of time until we actually break out in NVIDIA and see all-time highs.
I agree. It's more. So here's why anybody like myself, I'll be self-deprivating because I sold some AMD in front of 250 on the way up the first time, and then when everything dipped back down, I bought NVIDIA because that's a better. I put that money back into NVIDIA thinking I just like the value. On the dips, I like the value better. Well, have a look at what happened on AMD when NVIDIA got to 200. Okay, well, it makes sense. Double top, NVIDIA fails 200, AMD pulls back as well. And it's like, wait a minute, but hold on, Neil. NVIDIA comes back, doesn't get to the high, and today is trending down, still underneath, and Advanced Micro Devices is, oh, that's right, it went all the way back, broke out the high in the afternoon, and is holding even higher today. So it's just one of those where, hey, AMD, it's got the juice behind it. obviously you're staring at a triple top. I'm not saying like this is some like crazy long today. I actually don't. I didn't even have AMD on the note or on the trade plan because I think it's already at the high. But that's the only reason why I was a little bit negative Nancy about that pullback in NVIDIA. It's what also happened around it as well, and the reaction it had relative to some of its peers. Because at the end of the day, everything was looking so strong, and it didn't even get past like 99. And the way we failed in the morning, I'm not a huge fan. Let's go back up to the desk. I think we just had jobless claims, Brendo.
Of a move. I was keeping an eye on Oracle here. If anyone missed that again, expansion of a deal with Amazon for ORCL, but not much of a move for the overall market here. Let's get you these numbers. Here's initial jobless claims, 207 versus 216. That was the forecast. Prior was 218, so a bit of a downtick across the board. Continuing claims, 1.81 million, 1.84 million. Last time around, if you go back to last week, we also got the Philly Fed business conditions and the Philly Fed prices paid index there, 59.3. Business conditions, 40.8, so a slight uptick. Cap index, 35.2 versus 25. Nice uptick on that number. Industrial production still to come down here at 9:15. We'll get capacity utilization, industrial production, both on the month over month and year over year, coming up at 9:15. That's about it as far as the economic calendar is concerned this morning. We are going to get some Fed speak, guys, later on in the day. A couple of bill auctions coming up as well. It's worth noting there were a couple of interesting moves as far as stocks are concerned. PayPal was one of them. We had a downgrade early on this morning in the pre-market for PayPal, another one that had a great day yesterday. If you zoom out and have a look at software in general, if you want to go that far, pretty good day for the entire market yesterday. Apparently it's nighttime. A pretty good day for the entire market yesterday, but software specifically was definitely stronger than most. So PayPal had a nice day yesterday. Gets the downgrade today. Back downside here, guys.
On PayPal, I still like it. I like this. I like that for like a swing, a little bit here. But it is what it is. Like to me, the ball doesn't lie. We had, and I wish I remember the name of the viewer because it was actually several. And we were discussing, PayPal was part of the discussion, and then we were talking about fintech in general, and there was a good discussion about the consolidation that was happening in PayPal, and well, if you like things that have held higher lows in the 50 period, and I was like, yeah, but I don't use PayPal anymore, so I've always been pretty negative on it, just because I felt like,
I've only used it a couple of times.
Right, like that's usually been my understanding is I don't really know anybody that's a huge fan of it.
Here we don't even have to, right?
You don't need it.
Yeah, exactly.
We just
have the electronic transfer here, but I guess if like sending money to America or something along those lines, which I ever rarely did, was so I was never a big user of PayPal, to be honest.
I was like years ago, but it's like you taper off, and now I just don't. That all of it being said, it's still I love it technically. It looks great technically, so it is. I'm fine with it. It still hasn't broken the $50 level. The 50 period has gone, and I think there's some really solid room to run. It's not on the day trading plan today because there's no volume to go along with the downgrade. It's only like 200,000 shares, and I feel like there might be some better opportunities if we end up weak.
Stable coins would have an effect on kind of this payment method for PayPal?
I have an interesting. So. Hold that thought for a second. I think a lot of the push for stable coins, especially from the administration, has to do with U.S. dollar dominance. I think it's like one of the ways in which you could maintain U.S. dollar dominance is to have another asset class which is dominated by exchange through USD, right? It's kind of like having the oil standard, being the reserve currency, because. I want to say it was this week. It might have been last week. You guys can check it if you want. You crossed a major threshold with regards to like foreign holdings of treasuries versus gold. I know some of that's being drawn back, but like that. And again, anyways. So I think that's a lot of it. I don't know that that's what I'm caring about too much for PayPal. Like I'll be the first person to admit, most of the time if I'm in a swing, like if I make a long-term dip buy, fundamental based. If I'm making a swing play, I tend to literally not care. about the fund. I should not always, but it's really just more about like the technicals. Like I'll try to keep it as simple as I'm buying this breakout. If you come to my chart for a second, Andre, like I'm buying this breakout to give to this stop to get to here, right? And if it makes the jaunt up here 1-to-1, I will probably almost always take some out, and then looking for the move in there, and then I'll usually hold on to a third or a quarter. Sometimes if I really don't love it, 10 to 20% for the dream, and try to keep it pretty standard. And that's worked several times. It's a very specifically the whole trend down break 50-period hold to the 200. Like I've just seen it time and time again. Is what it is, and sometimes you just have to go with what works for you. And what also was working for us is that the market doesn't care about numbers. The market doesn't care about oil. We literally did not even move just there on that date at 8:30, which isn't a bad thing. It's also not a bad thing that we're going to bring up USO. We'll probably mention it less and less unless we start to get some headlines. Like how this is just, like oil is just continuously, not just falling, but consolidating as well. But you want to be at least a little bit careful because one thing that you're seeing here, you're still holding some higher lows. Like very much. Like this last little dip is now consolidating, holding some higher lows. And if the bounce is up, that could matter. It hasn't happened. We've been trend down for 2 or 3 days, so I'm not really too worried about it. But yeah, you got to respect that there's this little consolidation happening. If we get a shoot up from here, forget about the ceasefire or any updates. You could just get a technical move on oil. But for now, I think we're fine.
Yeah. I think with oil, I'm just going to put it in the same, obviously, two different things, but something that was in play for the past couple of weeks or the month or so, starting to cool off a little bit, Neil, and I like comparing it to the silver trade, right? Like, think about how hot the silver trade was for that couple of months, a little bit longer, significantly longer, I should say, than what we had here in USO. But as long as these tensions continue to cool down, I think that the USO is probably going to start to fade a little bit here.
I think that's a good note.
That's a good area. That's fair.
Oh shoot, that's not even the one I would. Okay, we'll get to that, yeah. David. I was trying to send this one right at the end of when you were finishing, but it sent the most recent one. We'll get to all of them. There's like 4 super chats.
Yeah, I see.
Adam James brought Joey freaking options on the main desk. Let's go, son. That's actually Sharif's like. How he addresses Joe all the time. Yeah. He always has to say Joey frickin' options every single time. I believe we had David first, if we can get back to that. There's like 4 super chats here. David Clark, Hi Trader TV, looks like we have found some initial resistance. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's the one we already got.
That one,
no, it's this one from JKL, our good friend. And again, we're only going to say JKL. I don't know what's up with the rest of that name. Yeah. Hot dad weighted vest hike. Still swinging USO. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. It's always the update. For the viewers that don't know, we always get an update of, hey, what you're doing in the morning. Maybe you're at the sun, but now apparently it's a weighted vest hike.
So I'm not informed. So he gives us an update on what he's doing.
So he's doing a morning hike with a weighted vest, which is fantastic. Weighted vests are great. I love them. Go for a walk, go for a run. You can just go do stuff around the house with it on.
Sharif would know about these ones. It's funny, I actually had the thought as I was driving in this morning, I'm like, do I buy one of those Rogue plate carriers? Have you seen those?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I want one of those. Sharif, you know any discounts?
When you do CrossFit, you do something called Murph.
Yeah, and Murph is sick.
Murph is crazy, right? So you've got to be weighted the entire time. So I haven't had one. I haven't used one since CrossFit. But if you're, what are you using it for? For running or for pull-ups?
Just running around. Like, is that the one that you had, the Rogue with the? You can just insert the plates. The Rogue, is that what you had?
No, it was like built in. So there were like weights already like all over the vest. Kind of looked like a bulletproof vest a little bit. It was like camouflage, beige, but. I use more the belt for pull-ups and dips and stuff like that if you're looking to weight that.
There you go. Well, I don't know if our good friend who was ready for the interview has anything to say about weighted vests, but it's like the market has taken a weighted vest off and gone through the upside and breaking out, which I know Money Mitch is going to be excited about. So let's get to the desk. We've got Mitch. Excited to talk to him. It's always fun. The markets are always good, but it's always more fun when we get to talk about all-time highs.
Just moving around here a little bit, guys, just be aware there are some Middle East-related comments coming through. Hegsat speaking right now, so keep an eye out for the overall market. Yeah, let's bring them in. Mitch Hoke back with us again from Trade the Pool to give us some ideas here going into what could be the start of, the bigger names on the earnings front. We get Netflix to kick things off tonight after the close. Mitch, give me your thoughts to start things off on earnings season so far. I mean, banks have been kind of meh, really wasn't much to look at, but getting into some fun maybe as of tonight.
Yeah, we'll start kicking it off with, of course, Netflix. The focus, of course, will be how the ad tier is going. Of course, it was at 190 million. So focus will be now, how do they continue to push this, right? One of the things that has been talked about is they raised their main tier, right, pricing. And why they might have done that is they're actually almost pushing customers more to that ad side to continue pumping out those ads and, of course, cashing on that side of the business. Of course, they keep raising prices, but the wife keeps paying it, guys. So just like my wife keeps paying it, I think everybody else will keep paying it, even if it's $2 more. I think Netflix is the winner in the streaming wars. And one of the things that has changed, right, the pivot to live sports. That's what you'll hear more and more conversations of, licensing over originals, gaming also as a retention tool, and look for more conversation coming about the live sports and pushing further into live events. Of course, you've been seeing now fights, boxing matches. You're going to see continued action there in Netflix.
All right, you had Coin on your list here as far as the financials go. I mean, there's what, 3.5, call it, days of price action there on that chart. Up and away here for not only Coin. I mean, Bitcoin has been rallying. I mean, it's just buy everything at this point.
Yeah, I think this has to do with also more the financial data and stock exchange industry, right? This was also an area that was hit in the financials. Of course, we saw the anchors of financial services start to shore up. It was the credit services and the asset management companies. The other stocks that had gotten hit were these financial data companies, right? So I started to look into the industry, and Coin actually falls in here for the stock exchange. It got the nice little rip yesterday. Another one that I'll be looking at is a name that isn't talked about often, but a FactSet that is down more than like 55% from the highs. FDS, of course, getting disrupted by things like Claude and AI overall. But you can see since the earnings, it's starting to climb back. This is just one more name to give you in the industry to look for a rise in financials. And just to mention, I know we don't have my man on for SoFi right now, but SoFi is looking a lot better after what? You get that shoring of the credit. Remember how I mentioned last time I was on, that was the concern, right? The interest rate outrate. Look, quickly, what did we do? We pushed that whole interest rate of potential hikes. Now I think we're even going to start talking about potential cuts moving forward.
Yeah, I wanted to show this. Andre, if you can grab that. Yeah, there you go. 3 days in a row, just straight to the upside. Barely a downtick here, let alone looking good, Mitch, for SoFi. It looks fantastic. About to take out $20 here, it would appear, heading towards the open this morning. All right, where else do you want to go here? Let's talk space trade maybe, because, I mean, everyone's been talking about SpaceX specifically and the valuation or potential valuation here. Not the only game in town, right, with these types of names.
Yeah, this is just kind of riding up the money, right? The money keeps flowing into this space. This morning, just another one mentioned, right? VOYG. This is getting NASA's 7th private ISS mission launch into 2028. But you're seeing plenty of interest in the space. I'm seeing all the swing traders focusing in on these names. Now, Rocket Lab getting up this morning. That's one that I'm going to keep an eye out for. RKLB. This is already moving in the pre-market. We'll look for some quick pullbacks out the gates. Planet Lab, of course, trades also with Black Sky. Now we're talking the satellites, right? And then you keep going. You can move further into space with the communication sides of things and ASTS. And just to mention, I mean, a lot of the focus going to SpaceX, but Tesla, I think, is also getting a run here as more focus has been talked about that potentially Tesla owners, right, share owners could be getting a little bit of some access to that IPO, right? We'll see what happens with that. But Tesla, of course, on the run, not necessarily space connected, but I think this is actually adding towards the factors of this run. And not to mention, there's still optimists out there that's going to be talked about later this year.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading about that a little bit yesterday, and I think it's the actual ownership as far as Tesla shareholders are concerned is like less than 2%. Like, it's not a lot that actually transfer over to SpaceX. But as you said, maybe they open the gate a little, open the door a little bit, you know, give access to the IPO itself. What do you make, though, of that move yesterday? Just an absolute monster for this thing.
Yes, it was starting and helping the Mag 7 move, right? As more money shifting away from the unconcerned areas, right? For a while, the money had gone away from the Mag 7. Now that we have this certainty, the anchors of the market have shored up. Now you're seeing the money go right back towards the high quality and growth names. That's another thing that I started to see a shift really quickly. We're actually going back to those euphoria names, the names in the trash, right? That's what happened the last 2 days. We had this first rally in the semiconductors, a shift towards bigger stocks. Yesterday, we got more shift towards Mag 7, and also the dash for trash started to go in. And you're seeing the short interest names really start to rocket, right? So you can keep riding the coattails right now. We are in what's called an illogical move right now. Well, the truth is the market can stay longer illogical than we can stay solvent. So it's not about shorting it here, but we could continue to ride this kind of tailwind action on the upside. Now, I do want to be the bearer of bad news because I do think that today might be that day that we finally get a whipsaw move back down. So keep your eyes on that. I think as traders and swing traders, we need to be getting the shopping list ready, looking for short-term moving average pullbacks and waiting for that wicked day, waiting for the day that it opens up bleeding red, and instead of being scared, ready to have that shopping list to go buying.
All right, let's get into the nitty gritty here. What are you thinking here as we head towards 9:30 this morning? Give me your top 2 or top 3 ideas.
Yeah, I'm actually starting to shift towards the metals and minerals as I see the dollar prices come down, right? You can look at UUP, you can look at the dollar overall, but as the dollars start to crumble, you'll start to see the metals and minerals start to really get that lift. USAR, a chart that looks really great on the daily, start to get going yesterday. I'm going to keep an eye on that one. UAMY, another name to kind of keep watch. All really great daily charts. That's what you want to see on these metals and minerals, that they're setting up for the bigger move, right? Look at the monthly charts, look at the weeklies. You should see nice kind of triangle patterns and trend line approaches starting to work out. I'm also watching lithium names because I think lithium is the most important mineral kind of moving forward, and rare earth as we continue to push forward in the AI trade for battery storage, for all the physical assets, right? And not to mention all this robotic talk, right? Those are all going to be needing lithium batteries, right? So keep your eyes on the lithium names. LAC is one that has just started to turn around, of course, has the U.S. backing and is around that $4 price. So it's a cheap name. You could really get some leverage in here and get a nice little rise. MP, another one backed by the U.S., looking great.
All right, as we head towards the heart of earnings season here, I mean, I zoomed out a little bit and looked at both the weekly chart and the daily chart of the market specifically last night. And like the move itself from the lows back to now all-time highs happened so fast again. A lot of people were referencing, you know, the move that we had off the April lows going back to last year, retaking the moving averages, and then it was just gone. It didn't even really give anyone a chance to participate here. I mean, we've covered a lot of individual names here this morning, but you know, from a market perspective, a lot of people kind of sitting on their hands going, what the hell just happened?
Exactly, because that's how the market wants to do it to you, right? And this is the way that institutions can play, right? Because we got to remember that as everyone was getting in that panic mode, institutions were what? They were digging down deep in what? In the names that were continuing to win, right? The SanDisk trade, the memory trade that never really broke. Right? A lot of people kept telling me that, well, this market's really weak. There's no strength. Look around. I can't find. Well, there was. The AI hardware never really got weak. There was some pullbacks, but the AI infrastructure trade never broke. Why? Because the CapEx spending continues, and you haven't seen any mention by the hyperscalers a pullback of that CapEx. As long as they're going to spend that money, and we're talking insane amount of money. If you add all 5 names of the hyperscalers and all the spending that they've ever done in AI, it doesn't even come to half of what the CapEx spending is for just this year. So that's what is the kind of the tailwind that is really underneath the market. That's what's driving this secular bull market, guys. So that's stronger than any war talk and stronger than any oil scare. So focusing on the AI infrastructure trade, focusing on physical AI, right? That side of the business, right? Because that's what needs to happen here. It's the first structuring. And I know that a lot of people talk about, well, what inning are we in AI? What inning is this? This is a whole new ball game, right? We had the first ball game that was the large language models. Now we're starting a whole new ball game. We're in the first, second inning of AI infrastructure conversations as the data center gets built out. So you look at all the types of plays that go off of this. Energy, industrial play. XLI is looking great. I know that it's not the sexy area right now because of the oil trade kind of dragging it right back down. But look for this continued industrial rally because that's really where it's coming from. AI to push towards the data center, right? We need this huge infrastructure manufacturing build. So that's going to be this new kind of and you could call it like an American revolution, right? Industrial revolution towards AI, and that will build the technology that's coming in the future.
The AI revolution, continuing.
It is. It is. That's exactly what we're seeing, guys. And ride the tailwinds. Don't focus so much about some short headwinds just facing us. But really, oil it showed us really quickly that it's on the way down. So all we need is just one good news, and we continue this party going.
Definitely. Give us an update on Trade the Pool here.
Well, come trade, guys. Like always, we have so many different options for you guys at Trade the Pool, whether you're a swing trader, day trader, or let's say if you're digging deep and you're going to go for a car short. Who's getting after it today? I'm thinking it's time. It's time, guys. I'm looking for a 405 reversal today. Nice bull trap going back through the 400 today. And then down she goes. Where can you be shorting this? On Trade the Pool, right? Don't even need to borrow. Let's get after it. Let's see what car can do today.
Mitch, appreciate the time as always.
Always. Get after it, traders.
Fantastic stuff from Mitch Hoke. As always, looking forward to his next venture back to the city. All right, guys, let's take a look at some of the analyst actions here this morning. We're going to kick things off, as we typically do, with some downgrades. We're going to start off with Qualcomm. We're down 1.4% here. Price target being lowered to $140. That's coming from $185 by JP Morgan. Once again, you're down 1.4%. Fabrinet also getting the downgrade as well, too, guys. You're down 3 3/4 here. Overweight to neutral weight by JPM giving the downgrade. And then we have GitLab also on the downgrade list, guys. Price target being increased actually from $24 to $44, but AUR negative this morning, 1.3%. PayPal, a name that we were talking about earlier today. Price target reduction, you're down 1 1/5. You're going from $60 to $50. Let's move on to upgrades here and see what we have on that list. We're going to kick things off with Okta. You're up 4% here this morning. $80 price target going from market perform to outperform by Raymond James. And then we have ASML. I know someone around this neck of the woods who likes this name. 1.5% to the downside, unfortunately, but with a price target of $1,400 by Citigroup. And then we have CoreWeave, positive 0.75% here, guys, with a price target of $150 with an outperform rating by Wolf Research. And then we have DraftKings also getting the nod this morning, guys. You're up 1.2% with a buy rating today. Let's send it back to Neil.
You know, we keep it real around here when curating the upgrades and downgrades list. Joe doesn't spare the fact that a couple people like ASML around here and it got downgraded and it's down. It is what it is. Hey, I like the stock. I own the stock. sold off on earnings, man. I can't tell you. It's just true. I was going to say something about the space names. I'll come back to that because Mitch touched on a lot, and I wanted to maybe put some thoughts in there because I'm looking at Rocket Lab, and it's like, why Rocket Lab when yesterday STS? And I have a reason. But there was, like, right at the end, he mentioned Avis. I was like, oh, you know what? I did write down 400 double top on my iPad this morning. So I know exactly what he's looking at. But when somebody says, it was said really quickly, 405 rejection. Sometimes traders will think, oh, any pop, you're just gonna offer in front of here at 405. And I know what he's getting at. It's the whole notion of another false break. It broke 2 days ago, but didn't have any time to respond because that was at the end of the day. And then yesterday, it was a false breakout through 400 that rejected to 340. So it would be the whole looking for, it breaks out, it gets above 400, reverses. Now, to me, whether it reversed at 4.5 or 4.10 wouldn't matter. It's if it then fails underneath the 400 again, and then you're looking for that continuation short. So I'm pretty sure that's what he's looking for. Yesterday in the space names, because of the Amazon deal with Global Star and more competition specifically to ASTS, I had that one for a short. But when I look at ASTS today, under the 50 period, not really doing much. Rocket Lab looks better. It's got better pre-market volume. Unlike, holding at the 50 period, it's continuing a breakaway above it instead, which is obviously better than the alternative. It is a little bit extended, so you got a double top here the last couple of sessions. I'm a fan of pullback into prior highs, and as long as it's above the prior highs, I'm looking for long setups. Sometimes that presents itself like a VWAP hold that you can get off of the open, maybe not off the open because I don't care about VWAP as much off of the open. Or you just go right back in and maybe retest that 75, although these wick highs are a little bit underneath. So I prefer Rocket Lab to ASTS today. That's the one I'll be looking. I just saw in the chat Roulette saying the market dropping. Not really. We haven't been more than like 0.25, 0.3 up and 0.1 on the other side of it. But there's been a few super chats that I know we've missed. First, JNKZ, I want to appreciate you and thank you for the gift over there on TikTok, first and foremost. We have Gary Retired, who had a super chat, and we talked about SoFi there with Mitch as well, heading to 20 short squeeze. I don't know that I'd call it a short squeeze. I think it's a relief rally might be the better way to go about it, but I know somebody that squeeze if they're still in it. Muddy waters. Oops. Ah, well. I'm
do we know where they're short from?
Well, this is the thing. You never really, I don't know. And maybe if they said it, then I probably wasn't paying attention because I don't want to say I don't care. It's just like I usually make the assumption that if you come out with a short report when the stock is like down at a support level, like you probably shorted it up here or like some kind of a break there. But I really don't know. I just do know that this resistance at 20, this is what Gary's talking about. Look at the resistance at 20. Like it's an obvious shorts get scared type of moment if we get through that $20 level in SoFi. So I want to respect that. And shout out to
where's this theme song? Where's this theme sound? There you go. Bang. Thanks, Randy. We got we're dual
I'll let
banana.
this
one today
ripen for tomorrow.
This one.
That's the key.
You know what I did see very interesting yesterday? Speaking of, we're not going to call it a squeeze or anything along those lines because I don't think that was the case. But what I noticed on this week is typically you hold open interest to the end of the week and then it expires worthless. But what I noticed earlier, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, we were talking about NVIDIA and the 195 mark, where it was sitting on approximately 100,000+ contracts. What I noticed yesterday that had a drastic decrease to about 84,000. So there was probably some individuals who were like, we're caught offside on these short contracts. Let's close that out. And then that's when you seen that drastic increase in open interest on NVIDIA, which I found relatively interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting. I think it'll be unavoidable to look at NVIDIA today. I know the market's very slightly up and it's going to be in the red. You could some of that possibly because of TSM, which I know we're going to talk about, one of the earnings names, but that's clawing its way back. The other thing that we haven't really mentioned too much about are the banks at all. And we had all of the banks performed, opinions are opinions. All the banks had reports that were good. With Wells Fargo at a bit of a miss on revenue. That said, the performance wasn't always the best. The quarter was great, but the stock performance didn't do much of anything for you. JP Morgan actually has a chance to maybe bounce the 200 period today. It was Citigroup and Morgan Stanley that, if you're looking for the big runners, they were the two that performed aptly. Unfortunately, and I say this as someone who owns Morgan Stanley, it ticked right into the high, and for now we have a topping tail candle on this. Like, it's again, like, yeah, the banks might be in play, but this doesn't feel like the right moment on Morgan Stanley. Maybe even give it, hopefully, a pullback, and it'll make a little bit more sense. And then Citigroup was the one. Citigroup was the one that actually had the clean breakout through the top. So if there's something that maybe deserves like more of the continuation, I've never really owned Citigroup.
Was it Goldman that had kind of the bearer of bad news? I guess, even though it wasn't horrible.
I thought it was Wells to me was the dog, but it's not like Goldman didn't do anything. JP Morgan, they didn't do much of anything.
Yeah.
Those two, like, it was just sort of a nothing burger, which sometimes that's actually a good thing for the banks in the long run because it just gives you a place to buy. But it was Wells Fargo was the one that got, and it's still getting hit. Like, it's continuing to break down. I don't know where the bottom is going to be on this one. They did have, like, there was a slight miss on revenue. It's holding. Ooh, that's a flat bottom break. Oh, you beat me by like a split second.
You guys beat him to the punch, man. I'm doing the show. I'm doing the show a favor this morning. I have no stream deck.
No stream deck.
Yeah, I don't have any of my animation. Well, because we're on the because we got that new domain there, Sharif. You can't.
Inexcusable.
We're gonna have to get some of those codes sent over.
I pity the fool that doesn't hit the like and subscribe button.
Yeah, but I don't know if people. I don't know if everyone's getting. I don't know if everyone's getting sick of my Stone Cold Steve Austin all the time.
I'm not sick of it.
Yeah, there's no way, man.
I wish
glass break.
I want the. If you smell what the Rock is cooking,
yeah,
but
what does that have to, like, how are we going to implement that?
I don't know.
Hit this, if you're cooking up a trade, you're just going to hit.
I don't care. I hit a button, it makes the sound that I think is funny.
You know which one I said that we should get is the Kurt Angle one, like, you suck.
Yeah.
First,
you suck.
9 o'clock, 9:01 now.
Can you tell that we grew up watching wrestling? I don't know if it shows that much. Oh, Sean's the biggest wrestling fan out of everybody. Like, he's been to multiple WrestleManias. I remember when we were in high school, like, there was a group of our friends, but like him and another guy were always the bigger wrestling fans. I watched it growing up, but then I stopped after university.
Yeah, you started. Well, I mean, once you hit a certain age, you just stop watching. I remember my great.
I don't think not everybody. Some people.
Yeah,
still
some people are still. Yeah. I shouldn't say, like, for me personally, my great grandmother used to get so mad at me because she's like, "It's not real, it's fake," and I'd be like up watching Monday Night SmackDown and then
Survivor.
Friday, Friday Night Raw or Thursday Night Raw or whatever it was.
You know what is also entertaining? Having a look at our free watch list to see what we can trade today, what some key futures levels are, what we should do in the next 30 minutes to get prepared for the open, which we're going to do right about now.
All right, guys, let's take a look at the futures. We're up 0.16 to start the morning after making, yes, all-time highs on the SPY, with the all-time high being that candle on the 4-hour chart we just put in. That's 701.99. So it's essentially 702. We're at 701 and change. So we're going to say that overnight high is going to be our first level of resistance, because this is now a blue sky setup, meaning that we've never been this high. So we don't have technicals off which to look for resistance. Let's see, for support, we're going to go right back down into that previous all-time high, which was right around $699. So we're going to say 700 to 699, Brendo, as our first level of support.
You grab this, as always, link below in the description. Second link, I believe, will get you to the sign-up page for the watch list. Has everything you need to know on it in the pre-market. Every single day comes right to your inbox. And then you come join us at 8 o'clock. We get you set for the open at 9:30 TSM. Let's go to semiconductors here to start things off, because, I mean, the stock is down, but I think there's a lot of positives to take away from this. Maybe not necessarily for TSM itself, but for semiconductors as a group. Anyways, a little bit of profit taking, maybe two after the last few days here. Just an absolute tear. CEO saying AI demand is still, quote unquote, extremely robust. So all is well, apparently, for TSM, but we are negative to start.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, we already kind of had an idea of how they were going to report, right, Brendo? Because they kind of dropped that preliminary earnings report last week. But let's look at it here because it is quite a robust report. Up 58% is their net income to 572.48 billion new Taiwanese dollars. That is their take-home money, guys, with revenue coming in at 1.134 billion new Taiwanese dollars. That's about $35 billion US, and that's a 35% year-over-year growth. And as you mentioned, extremely robust is the demand being described by the CEO, and he's really crediting the large hyperscalers. We're talking about NVIDIA, about Apple, and they say high-performance computing like AI and 5G, that made up about 61% of total revenue, but it used to be a lot higher because they're diverting a lot of that revenue now to AI. The outlook, let's talk about the guide. They expect about 30%, full-year revenue growth. That's good forward guidance there with Q2 guide about 39 billion to about 40.2 billion. That would account for a 10% sequential quarter-over-quarter growth. And their CapEx, they're not. It's not only the hyperscalers that are spending up a storm. Taiwan Semi is looking to spend between 52 to 56 billion dollars in new CapEx for all of 2026 into 2027. A part of that, obviously, Brendo, is the fabs in Arizona that we've been talking about. One of those fabs, by the way, is the packaging fab, and that is becoming equally as important as chip manufacturing.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more, Sharif. And like it's that continued insane growth and insane, I shouldn't say insane spending, like, to each their own. Like this is why Intel, people are looking past maybe some not strong fundamentals yet to be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel and the explosive growth. And that stock's been going absolutely crazy. And we've already talked a little bit about NVIDIA, but why Mitch was mentioning looking at some of the other aspects of the trade, like look at what's going on with Vernova. Before we get into TSM, it was a couple of months ago when Vernova was making some fresh highs, and Constellation and Energy and Vistra were both fading a little bit. And now Vistra has a better chart than Constellation, so I would tend to think this one looks a little bit better. But I can't see any way that like this holds up. Like you can't tell me, and I own shares of GEV. I'm not trying to complain about the fact that GEV has been stronger. But what I would also say is it doesn't necessarily make sense to me, the lack of participation here in Vistra. I think Vistra is set up for a nice jaunt to the upside. And it's the old, you know me by now, it just reclaimed the 50-period moving average and a bit of a rounded bottom. It's probably not a day trading stock at all, but that's a name that I think can get going. Like TSM, they're selling the news here because it was at a double top or close enough to a double top. I think from that standpoint, it's already made a bit of a bounce, and like it's already made a pretty significant bounce. Fill in this gap, bounce back above, and diddle in the middle. I'm not touching this one with a 10-foot pole. If I'm looking at the chip space, it's going to be NVIDIA and it's going to be Intel, mostly because of that $200 level and rejection on NVIDIA. Like it gave you the 195, like this area held. It didn't quite get down there at the open. It ended up being a breakout style trade. But as long as 200 shows that rejection and has that wall, there's mean reversion trades up there, like fades that you can look at. If it takes out like 201, maybe we get like a late day breakout, that kind of a thing. But yeah, 95 and 200, I'm really willing to play in both directions. And then just going over to Intel, well, it's doing that thing where it's putting in higher lows into a flat top. And we don't even have a flat top break button. For some reason, it's way too bearish. Why do we have a flat bottom break button? Like, why can I hit this? But there's no graphic for a breakout.
Oh.
Which I would make an argument to say that over the course of like 20-something years,
take that out with production.
No, but like the most consistent trade that day traders probably, at least every day trader, at least once or twice, it's the straight up breakout trade, which usually looks something like what Intel is showing you. It's just you get the same high for multiple days or a double top, and then you get that upward trend going into it. So just imagine we're hitting that key.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to beat this Taiwan Semi story for too much longer. I mean, gross margins came in better than analysts and expectations, and it's going to happen for Q2 as well. I think there's a lot of things going on. You're priced to perfection here, essentially, and there's no real major form of surprise. A slight beat on those gross margins is good, and an uptick for the outlook coming in for Q2. You're at the high. You've double topped. This name's been on a substantial run. I think regardless of what was going to happen, no matter how fantastic the numbers are, you're going to see somewhat of a pullback here.
All right, let's go on. HIMS consolidating right now, but what a move this has been since about middle of the afternoon yesterday. We go from 2150 essentially all the way up to 2750. If you missed it, RFK Jr. comes out and says the FDA going to reevaluate certain peptides that are currently restricted. There is an asterisk, I think, to this, Sharif. I know you have more on this, but the simple fact is this is routine from what I've been reading anyways, so not necessarily something out of the ordinary, but the stock exploded regardless.
Well, exactly, Breno, and the reason the stock exploded is because HIMS has already made their position very clear. If they're allowed to by the FDA, they will look to generate revenue from peptide sales. So just to give you a little bit more details on the story, Health and Human Service Secretary RFK, as he's known, he signaled the FDA is moving to remove 12 peptides from that restrictive category 2, under which they're placed at the moment. It would broaden production and it would allow compounding pharmacies where HIMS operates, remember they were doing the GLP-1 compounds, to be able to actually put these out. The FDA, though, they're going to hold an advisory meeting in July, meaning that this is still evolving, but the direction is bullish, so we'll have to wait and see. It's a good policy tailwind. Obviously, it's not earnings related. Traders are clearly pricing in possible revenue expansion. Peptides currently kind of like in the gray to black market. This would legitimize them and allow corporations to be able to sell these. HIMS is actively, as I mentioned, preparing to get into the peptide-based therapies if allowed. And obviously, it opens up a new revenue stream for the company.
Yeah, and you know what? I saw two sources. One said 35, the other said 39. That's the short float on HIMS. I was going back and forth between looking for a dip and mean revert on HIMS or on SMR. And I put both on the iPad. And I was just like, I like the way that SMR moved a little bit better. Which, oh, shoot, nuclear's next. Okay, yeah, I don't have to mention it now. But HIMS was a sort of a similar story. Like, it was so parabolic in the afternoon. To come into that top there at 25.5, I just feel it's so close to its only, like the resistance up here from March, that like a dip makes the most sense for HIMS for a continuation play. Because if it's not breaking out through that top, I think a dip rip makes some sense. Google in talks with the Pentagon to use Gemini models. Google just continues, Alphabet just continues to win. Come on, tell me you're actually, and Alphabet going to the upside here. So it was flat. Alphabet was flat this morning, now up 0.5 point. Where we sitting on the daily? A couple of percentage points maybe from the highs here is Alphabet. So good story. You can't really look at that in any kind of a negative sense. It's like, what are you doing, Anthropic? It's like you get blackballed. There's other options out there, and Gemini looking to capitalize. We'll see if we can get through that 340 level. I wouldn't overreact yet because the volume relatively light for that story and a break through the high of the day. But yeah, good look on HIMS. I'm leaning more toward that dip into the prior high look on HIMS. If it decides to just do the VWAP jaunt, like 945 to 910, where you're trending up and you get the pullback into VWAP, I like that setup too.
Guys, like this name has been getting absolutely destroyed. It's good to see that it's getting a rebound with the overall market. 63.6% here from that previous pivot high. That was levels of February 2025. So you're well over a year before you've seen any form of relative strength within this name. They had that conflict going on with Novo Nordisk as well too. So I don't know how I feel about this company. I just think there's going to be better opportunities. We can call things essentially at opportunity cost, kind of just sitting in something that may not have that next potential thing going forward. Peptides could be, it seems to be, we're going on from GLPs to peptides. Is that going to be a big needle mover? I think so. But is it going to recover this stock back towards that $73 mark? I just don't think so.
That Google story, a little bit more detail on that. So they're talking specifically with the Pentagon to bring Gemini into classified Pentagon environments, quote unquote, after already deploying Gemini agents across unclassified DoD networks currently. So the stock coming back a little bit on that, but if you dig in a little bit more, there is some positivity. But yeah, great angle for Google if they could possibly make that happen. Pick a nuclear name this morning. It is doing quite well. They've been kind of sleeping over the past, I don't know, 2 months or so. There's IREN 3 days in a row here, straight to the upside. A little more talk back on the need for power coming here, Sharif.
Exactly, Brendo. And whether you're looking at Oklo, you're looking at NewScale, or as you mentioned, the other one, there's broad participation. It's basically a sector-wide rotation. These are not isolated moves. A couple of reasons. Some from the United States, the other from the UK. The UK approved 3 SMRs, small modular reactors, capable of about powering 3 million homes for about 60 years. Rolls-Royce, in this case, secured a little bit less than $1 billion in funding to develop these SMRs. The U.S. concurrently is also launching their space nuclear initiative with ambitions of targeting lunar and interplanetary power systems. We know a lot's been made about the moon and wanting to create a permanent base on the moon, likely to be powered either by solar or some nuclear. Data center expansion as well. We really can't leave that one out, as well as energy security concerns with the energy crunch in the Middle East has really helped pushing these names. And then concurrent with those names is the actual radioactive material itself that we use to power these. Uranium, guys, equities are seen, uranium equities specifically, are seen as high beta beneficiaries of the energy security focus. ETFs like URA or URNM, I believe, URNM, are also gaining traction as broad exposure vehicles.
At some point, a base on the moon and permanent presence on the moon in my lifetime. It'd be the coolest thing ever, I think. And then Joe's like, remember that movie at Astra?
Give me a little bit.
I'm always willing to mea culpa. I rewatched Ad Astra.
Did you?
And I actually enjoyed it far more the second time.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's not bad.
Yeah, you know what? I think what happened was the trailer for Ad Astra had this like crazy like they're on rovers and shooting each other on the moon.
Yeah.
And the trailer had a sense of, you thought you were watching a different movie. So like I went to the theater thinking I was watching some kind of a space action type of film, and it's very much not that. It's the exact opposite of that type of movie, but it is still a good movie. I just don't like when they do that to you, because sometimes that's why you shouldn't even watch trailers. Trailers they're just the sucker.
I like trailers. I'm a sucker for a trailer.
But then I don't want to have expectations. I just want to go in and enjoy it. Hopefully we enjoy the ride in some of the nuclear names. That said, when we're talking about like SMR, and I know yesterday, like in the afternoon, I was sort of jazzed up about the structure of the trade. Yeah, it was a trend break short in the afternoon, but the other thing observed is the bottom that it made was the prior day high. Now that same structure, unfortunately here, the prior day has like a $12. So in between 12, there's only just like this consolidation at about 1240 to 1260. So call it where we're sitting right now, and it's a 50-period moving average. So because it's got that much of a gap down in structure, I want to see it hold that middle for a trend reversion break, or just wait for it to get all the way into the prior high. HIM's right now just looking a little bit, right, like for a gap up, it's looking a little bit better. And it was also closer to the prior high, but both of them are on the radar for a very similar setup. I just feel like HIMS could end up being one of those VWAP trades, whereas SMR is going to be allowing it to make that bottom and then just trying to catch the curl. Like this is one that if I have to take more than 2 or 3 swings at it, then
that's it,
you
right?
gotta
Like
walk away.
You take your swings at the plate, right? Like 3 strikes, you're out. I mean, if we go across the board on a couple of the more popular names, whether it be SMR, we were just talking about there with Neil, Oklo, or NNE, I mean, at the end of the day, this is a space that was hot for quite some time and then just cooled off relatively quick. So you're still down 60% here in NNE, you're down 65% in Oklo, and same thing with SMR as well. So, I mean, eventually you'll get a rebound, but just considering how heavy these names were hit, it's going to be quite difficult in order to fully recover and climb back towards those highs, 65% respectively here in Oklo. And SMR, a name that I particularly used to trade quite often, is just not really in play. But we do have some technical breaks. you have that trend climbing higher, you're climbing with the rest of the market, which can show some signs of positivity. And I'm going to kind of compare it to the quantum space, right? Like the quantum space was hot for a couple of months, and then it just cooled down. And I think that's the same narrative here with these guys as well.
AMD, please let me be. Okay, well, AMD just spiked to close almost to that triple top on the daily. There's no stopping it. You can only hope to contain it. Looks up, NVIDIA's exactly where it was before because AMD just doesn't care. It was a price target upgraded, I think we just saw there. So, yeah, I didn't see by whom, but my goodness, AMD. Whether you would chase this candle, I just showed you the daily chart. It's going right into that 65, 66 high and already starting to pull back a bit. So it looks like the bulls have done it again when it comes to AMD. Speaking of where the bulls did it, they definitely did it in Tesla.
An eye out here, guys, for AMD. What a move that was. Through the highs and then some. Nothing yet, though. Tesla was an absolute monster yesterday. If you zoom out on this is what I was talking about with Mitch a little bit earlier. Like an absolute clear smashing, wasn't even a break, just an absolute smashing of this downtrend on daily chart now for Tesla. So not only did we get through that resistance, we closed well above it. I mean, the sky's the limit at this point here for this thing, it would seem.
And a continuous push into vertical integration, and that's what we've been hearing a lot more about, the terafab, and that's what this story is about today. Elon Musk's team has begun reaching out to major semiconductor equipment players like your AMATs, Tokyo Electron, Lam Research. The outreach is tied to his broader terafab vision. Staff tied to the Tesla SpaceX ecosystem are actively requesting both pricing and delivery times from all the above named companies because obviously they're going to start building it out and they need to know when things are going to be ready. The effort does span the full chip making stacks. We're talking about photomasks, substrates, etchers, deposition tools, cleaning system, testing equipment, the gauntlet. This signals the potential move beyond just, chip design into the deeper control over the fabrication infrastructure. It also aligns with the broader industry trends where these hyperscalers and AI players are seeking supply chain control amid shortages. We've been talking a lot about RAM and how that's been in short supply, as well as ASICs, application-specific integrated circuits, designed internally by a lot of these hyperscalers and assisted by the likes of Marvell and Broadcom to help them make custom-made chips for specific tasks, Brendo. So the bull case is here that Tesla gains tighter control over AI compute supply and potentially accelerates the launch of the actual FSD, not the supervised version, as well as robotics and, of course, the dojo scaling.
So there's a setup that I think is a setup. I don't know that I've ever really. I think Michael Noss sort of agreed with it at one point. I don't think he utilizes it. If there's ever a death cross on a daily chart where like the 50 period crosses the 200 period moving average to the downside and you flash a death cross, and then you also right after that death cross, which signals it's like a bearish signal and signals a short, if right after that you get a classic breakout setup, then breakout setup is better. That's generally that's my first thought. It's like, well, you have trend down, you have people entering on volume on a death cross, and then on top of that, you then break the channel to the upside. So while, yes, this is on a breakout course, for today, the 200 period's at 98. It rejected that top yesterday because John was long. I just shorted this thing for the one move it gave. And I even said when it happened, VWAP was at 82, and I'm like, I'm getting out at 87 because this is just not dropping any further. But it has that potential false break reverse setup. That's the setup that looks like, to me, is happening here on Tesla because of that resistance at the night. So just for today, I'm thinking fail the high as long as it doesn't break the 400. Fail the high, look for a reversion. Whether it gets past 85, 86, and that's up to anybody's guess. Right now, it doesn't look like it wants to break that high, but that's what I'm looking at on Tesla today for myself.
Yeah, I mean, we have to take into consideration that we're just 5 consecutive up days here. I mean, it was a couple of weeks ago we were talking about the miss on deliveries, halting production of a couple of the models as well, too. We remain forward-looking, but at some point, this channel was going to break. It just had that vibe, and I think that's essentially what's been going on right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have somewhat of an inside day, considering such a strong move that we had yesterday, 10%, 8%, whatever it was. But I think that's the narrative. I don't think it's going to be another parabolic session. I could be totally wrong, and for shareholders' sake, I hope that I am, but I just get that feel after you've gone in such a strong move, you tend to typically take somewhat of a break and a breather. Mitch was talking about a potential fade on it as well too. So I don't know about that, but maybe you have a 3-bar play, you have an inside day, and then you can take that additional leg higher, or a couple more consolidative sessions in between before you decide to climb. I think that's going to be the narrative. The volume is supporting it as well too. So I like Tesla for the continuation in the long side. And I mean, we're heading into earnings season as well too. We know that the probably delivery numbers, production, it's going to be the EV sector is probably not going to be that good. To be honest,
I don't think that,
it's not going to be good. Like the fastest growing segment is going to be the energy storage essentially, and then hopefully what we want from Elon is like, hey, Optimus and exactly autonomous. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what a lot of the shareholders are looking forward to.
I'm going to throw a comment up from the chat, but this is not the reason I'm putting this up, and I appreciate it's a nice comment, and I appreciate you saying this, David. But I'm only bringing it up because I want to say something. So it's like, Neil, you must be one of the best speakers, English speakers, and articulate. As a kid, I didn't speak a lot in school. Slurred my speech. I was really hesitant to speak up at all. I got really nervous. I'm just talking about regularly in class. My dad, he got this gigantic book of poetry.
Oh, really?
And so, yeah, and he always encouraged me to read, but he got me into reading and reciting poems, and they did you'd present a poem in front of your class one day, which I did, and then I got picked to do it in front of the school. And from then, he'd always make sure that if there was a public speaking competition, I did that in school.
That's good.
He encouraged me to do debating. So it was I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
And my pops was like, if this is something that is a challenge for you, we're gonna lean into it.
I like that.
And that's the only reason I brought that up. And I get choked up even thinking about it, because I look at it today, it's like if I was 7 years old, and if my dad doesn't do one small thing, look what I do right now this is what I do every single day. If he doesn't do that, toast.
Toast, man.
Toast. It's crazy. The influence the positive influence you can have on your kids' lives or just anybody's lives is unbelievable from one small kind act. One small kind act for Bird shareholders would be for it to not drop today.
Just back on AMD real quick here, guys. This was out earlier, much earlier, 8 o'clock even. AMD with a deal with France, the government of France, it looks like, to anchor their AI strategy going forward with some hardware. But a lot of people recirculating that at this point, but no, I don't see any additional headlines here. But yeah, if you haven't done so yet, zoom out on AMD's daily chart, because it's pretty impressive over the past 10 days. I mean, the NASDAQ looks pretty much exactly the same. 10 of 11 straight to the upside here. We're higher, obviously, on this again this morning. Yeah, let's go to Bird here. Absolute insanity yesterday with this thing. What did we touch? 900% or something like that at the highs? I mean, I was talking to, I think it was Ramin actually, I was talking to yesterday about way back when crypto first started getting more and more popular in the market, a lot of just random companies would change their name from whatever, yada, yada. I mean, there was an iced tea company, I think, that Long Island iced tea that turned to Long Island blockchain. So it was the hot word at that time. It was just add blockchain to your name, and then your stock rips 500+%. So kind of felt like that a little bit yesterday, because, I mean, did we even get any details on what AI Bird is going to be doing?
Well, we got a little bit of details, Bruno, but don't you feel like this was 2023 all over again, where anybody just throws in AI after their name and up we go? Aren't they a little 3 years late to the party? The market didn't care though, because we were almost at quadruple digits. So here's what analysts are saying, guys. We know how these Wall Street people are going to take a move like this. Renaissance Macro Research Jeff DeGraff, in a research note, wrote the following: the company has no existing GPU inventory, no data center footprint, no engineering talent on record, and no customer pipeline disclosed at the time of yesterday's announcement. What they do have is a press release, a new name, a single day's worth of marketing enthusiasm, and he ends with a very kind of harsh way to end, in my opinion. History has an opinion on that combination. You can kind of infer what he means there, but trade this one carefully. But it was a monster yesterday.
I mean,
the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent.
Until you make it, no?
You hear that a lot. It doesn't make sense to me. Obviously, it went from like $2 to 24, so proof is in the pudding.
NYSE is going here.
This one, I'm not touching with 10. Everything about me says that look for a place to short it, and thank goodness I didn't try that yesterday, because I think you could have maybe guessed at the top, but it probably would have lost like 4 or 5 times on the way going. The structure is not completely broken if it can maintain like around $14 or $15, but this one's going to be a pass. Rick, we have 1 minute to go, and I just wanted to quickly mention IBIT. So I like the support on IBIT. It did put in a very good double bottom holding that gap. I don't know if we'll be able to retest it. I wrote down 41.60 because it's that high there. But I'll look for anything in the consolidation level for a dip and rip. And if it loses 41.60, this is one I'm more than willing to reverse. I think that's one of the things to consider this morning. If you've got a key level, it's one thing to take a shot at it for a bounce play. But if all of a sudden you're closing under on the 15-minute, I got to be willing to short on IBIT too.
Yeah, I mean, this thing, I don't even really know what to say at the end of the day, man. Bird is, it was the word yesterday. Is it going to get that same continuation? No, there's nothing really fundamentally backing these things. We were talking about the $50 million that they have for this stuff. That is, like, come on. Like, you have Mark Zuckerberg. Obviously, there's a complete different comparison. But what is $50 million going to get them at the end of the day? They're probably going to have to go heavily into the debt market in order to kind of start this revamp of their company, because $50 million to do any form of comparison with everyone else is not enough, unfortunately, which is insane to say, in my opinion, but it is.
Shohei's making more than that. So let's ring the bell on this Thursday as AMD does
my computer.
AMD has a shot, man. Seriously, AMD could, on that upgrade, we close? Yeah, AMD's opening, almost breaking out to all-time highs here. It just did. 268. This is going absolutely ham. Is advanced micro devices. Oh, I got to look at NVIDIA. What's NVIDIA doing for me? Yeah, no pop. Well, I guess it would have been asking too much for NVIDIA to pop into the 200 for a fade on that ridiculous move by AMD. So it barely moves at all. Robinhood's going to be in play, looking for that one to hold a gap fill. As initial move in the market is to the downside, despite if you're looking at an AMD chart, you think it's like the most bullish open of all time. But it's actually a move downside initially here at the open. Nothing crazy happening in oil futures. If we get any headlines, I don't think we care about that anymore. We haven't had any big headline movers for USO in a couple of days. So I feel like we're not too worried about being reversed by like truth, but you never know. I feel like that's the moment when it'll probably happen. Like I'm saying that, and then we're gonna probably get some truth that moves USO, and everyone's gonna be like, Neil, what are you doing? You said it wouldn't happen. All right, Hood is really dropping in.
Yeah.
This is getting pretty heavy. I need to see it do some kind of a reversal at that prior close price, and it's not wanting to do so at all. Bitcoin's holding up much better. That might actually be a VWAP play, but those are the two things I got my eyeballs on, Hood and IBIT. One actually dipping into support, the other one nowhere to be found.
Yeah, I mean, listen, no sticky note. Sean's on vacation. He's going to be catching flight relatively soon. But, guys, this is what we got on our radar here. We got the SPY, the NASDAQ, Tesla, NYSE, this small cap name, and then also IBIT. I'm looking at SMR as well, too. So there's plenty of things that we can put our eyes on. Neil was talking about Robinhood. Robinhood starting to slide a little bit here. Oh, that's not going to work now, is it? All right, I got too many taskbars up here. Aside from that, guys, like, there's going to be plenty of opportunities. I talked about Tesla not just ripping out of the gate. The longer that it stays below the volume-weighted average price, the more likely that it's going to. So, I mean, I don't know about finding a potential bottom right now. You had a 10% day yesterday. Expect things to pull back a little bit here. I'm going to send it to you, Neil, while I fix a setting on this computer.
Got to get it done if you have to. Yeah, I know. Sometimes you move the PCs. It can be a bit of a pain in the butt over there. Well, IBIT held on to trend. I guess is the only thing. That's the first thing that happened is you held on to a bit of a trend line, which I wanted to redraw. Shoot, I have it on the other. I should just show it on the black chart. Doesn't really matter. So it just bounced in front of the trend, in front of VWAP as well. So I guess this will be the first thing that's set up as the market pulled back into the lows. And the first thing I was thinking, okay, well, what did I like to along that when we were at the low of the day on the Qs, did not break or press into the low, so showed some relative strength. And IBIT's the one that stood out, so I'm going to start there. Hopefully we can get some kind of an upward trend holding, and then we can go from there. Unfortunately, see, I like popping. Tesla did not even come close to challenging the highs before reversing back in. So that one's going to be gone. That and NVIDIA for the fail, just not really happening. They're already starting, well, NVIDIA's at least starting to bounce. And I want to bring you guys back to AMD. AMD did break the highs. Now I'm probably back in. I want to say it was about 267-ish. I'd have to double check on eSignal what the prior high was. But looking incredibly strong just for that price upgrade. That is absolutely wild.
On AMD, yeah. I mean, I think what was it, the government contract that they just got as well, too? With
that doesn't hurt. Well, let's be real. AMD has had fantastic momentum regardless.
Yeah.
I'll be the first to tell you, I was surprised by it. Like I sold
MSC tanked.
the majority of my long-term position in AMD, which I'd held for years and years and years in front of 250. And to buy the dip, and when I bought the dip, I bought it in NVIDIA. And I didn't think I would ever say that and be disappointed in myself, but that's the truth. So now Robinhood's putting in a higher low, so I'm going to take the first shot here on the hooded one in front of 88. Adara's at the desk with some news.
Pretty minor headline for Tesla here, but I do think one that is worth noting. This came out, I think, a couple minutes before the open, but Bloomberg reporting that apparently SpaceX accounted for 1,279 of the Cybertruck registrations in the U.S. in Q4. So that basically means that SpaceX did a cool 20%, roughly more or less, like 18 to 20% of all of the Cybertruck registrations on their own. So basically suggesting a lot of the Cybertruck demand is actually internal rather than external, because apparently in addition to SpaceX, according to this Bloomberg report, Musk's other companies bought an additional 60 vehicles. So long story short, looks like a lot of the demand here in Cybertruck could potentially be from Elon Musk's other companies rather than from the general public. Now, this is, again, significant as we head into Tesla earnings, and especially given the less than enthusiastic response to their deliveries.
That doesn't sound the best. But, I mean, you know what? But, like, if you can't sit there and say that it's not about the Cybertruck and then care too much about that story. And I've never really believed that the Cybertruck is a big catalyst. So big battle happening on Robinhood, specifically at the 88 level. I got like 18s. I should have a way better price in this because it's actually giving right down into the even. But usually I would give this to the prior bar, but I feel like if it loses the battle at 88, I might just manually punch out before the stop. But every time it gets underneath 88 bucks, they snap it back up. If I see them not do that, when I say them, I just sort of mean watching the tape.
Yeah.
Right now they're bidding it back to 96, back to 88. So it's still immediately getting bought up, but then right back into the 90s. I just want to see that battle resolve itself lower. Just did. So, and again, sometimes I'm a much bigger fan of giving it to the prior bar, but if I see a buyer at a particular level, and if it breaks, I want to wait till down here, or at least get a higher low to jump in. So it just doesn't feel like the right moment. IBIT's a little bit more structured. It just bounced off of VWAP, so I can give this one a little bit more room. But Tesla's really taking it on the chin.
It's really tanking right now.
So they must really care about.
Yeah.
Look, I think it's more technical than anything else. It's like too much, too fast, relief rally at the 200 period moving average and all that good stuff.
That's what I was thinking.
That makes
That's what I was thinking too, like inside day here on Tesla. I mean, it was up substantially, and we had deliveries a couple of weeks ago as well that just came in. They weren't good whatsoever. I have my eyes on SMR. Look at this. Look at this volume spike here on SMR, Neil, and then sure enough, it just blows past essentially this whole move. But anyways, aside from that, we'll talk some more SMR as soon as we get back from Midday.
There are more reports here in the talks between the U.S. and Iran, with Pakistan as the mediator. We know that Tasnim now reporting that Iran told Pakistan that the U.S. has to fulfill their commitments, and that specifically Iran wants the U.S. to drop their, quote, excessive demands. This is likely having to do with uranium enrichment and nuclear, would be my guess based on what I've heard. But again, if I get more details and said, quote unquote, excessive demands, I'll keep you posted. But the big thing here is Tasnim also saying that Iran's basically saying that new talks are not of any benefit unless there's a framework first. So again, more potential stalls here for these talks. We know as of yesterday, White House basically saying they don't want to extend the ceasefire. They want to settle this by Tuesday. Back to you.
Just let me know.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
Yeah. So aside from that, guys, like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you see buyers step in at some point here on Tesla, but I think you have to be extremely patient on this one. As I'm talking about it, there's some indecision prints off of the lows. I thought that we would see a bounce in SMR, but it looks like this turnaround is going to take a little bit longer than what we're anticipating. The volume spike was just absolutely insane. It was larger on the it was in 5 minutes, I believe, but still, it's just like an absolute isolated volume pivot, essentially, and off to the races it goes. So, I mean, breaks through the lows and then continues a little bit of its slide, and what we're seeing right now just looks like a breath to me. So looking for the potential long in SMR may not be the play, and I think that's going to be the same narrative here with Tesla, unless we see that isolated volume signature or something along those lines that tells us that we're ready to turn price around and climb through the volume-weighted average price and then maybe turn around from there. But MYSE looking slightly attractive, as we can see on the 5 minute. Some things are starting to pull up here, and this is essentially what I want to look at. You have something there, Neil, that you wanted to pull up there? Or I thought you were saying 1 minute. Oh no, you're good.
Position board's down again.
Position board's down. That's right. Good thing we're not in anything right now. If this closes as a hammer on MYSE, we're going to get involved with this. As long as we don't hover below the volume-weighted average price for too long, then I think we'll have the ability to rock and roll for potential long here. The volume on the pullback is relatively light, so we have to be cautious and be prepared to get out quick on this one if it doesn't work out our way.
SMR has shown no signs of a trend break.
Zero.
No, none. But it's so far at this moment. Like, it doesn't. Was there a bid at 12? You can make the argument that it bounced for like 15 or 20 cents. I think you could, but if it doesn't do some kind of a trend break, forget about it. This is getting pretty heavy. Before I go to CAR, which I will, starting to lose that VWAP. I have my stop under support level. If we lose this on IBIT, then I can go to hopefully what might be a short setup. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
What happened there? Hit it there. Fail.
Doing a live show. So, anyways, in the I'm gonna update you as to where the stop was on IBIT. Guess what just happened on CAR? There was your break. There's your topping tail candle. There's your reversal. Avis is halted down.
There goes Bitcoin to the downside too.
Fail. That maybe you get it, maybe you don't, in terms of getting the execution. But if this is the moment for a CAR, it actually did this and halted down yesterday at 364. So I think that would be the area that I'd be looking for. The tap currently is flat. It just flashed $400 on the tap and now back to 389. But this is now the second day in a row that it's flushed back in through the 400 level. And by the way, USO ended up actually taking out the top. So of course I jinxed everything by saying, we haven't really had any spikes in oil that have threatened us too much. It's not that big, and I think we still have a chance to run into some resistance. So I'm not gonna stay away from the names that I'm watching off the open because I still feel like Robinhood has held this consolidation for now. Probably a little early there, but now is a bottoming tail potential into 87. Gonna look for that potential trend break, but you gotta wait for USO to calm down. It's breaking through the highs as we speak, and if I see like any kind of weakness there, that could be the start to pounce. But it's gonna be either IBIT, which is still holding a little bit, or Robinhood. Hopefully somebody got that car short.
Somebody had to have.
Well, I mean, I mean, if you were looking at it, it halted
do you have
down
the order? Do
so
you have the,
fast.
What are locates on that thing? I'm not like I'm gonna short it or anything.
No, it's free.
It's free. Okay, all right, there you go, bang. So
yeah,
you go with Dara.
Dara, it's free. You can short Avis.
Dara, like in that.
No,
way.
granted, no. If you like, look, sometimes for a day trader, a stock being free to short can be a bad thing because it means almost everyone's trying to do it, thinking that the top is in. And I feel like that was probably the case on CAR. And it was really cheap to short Burry yesterday, which can be a very bad thing. People getting a lot of.
Yeah, people just grabbing a ridiculous amount of shares. All right, head-to-head HP. We'll do anything for you, my friend. You've asked me multiple times. I told you to remind me in the pre-market. Let's go. We're going to go long a little bit of MYSE. If it breaks through that low, then we're at a dodge on that one. $4 break. AC Slater to that one. Neil, but let's pull up a much requested name from a very polite individual that goes by the name Head to Head. Now, Therapeutics name Not the biggest fan of these bad boys. We can take a little bit of a deeper look into what we got going on, but you can see that there's liquidity issues. It's not a day trader. I can tell you that right out of the gate. I don't know if there's anything specifically about it. From the daily, zoom out, let's make this a little bit bigger for us to see. This is a big time move. I mean, $1 all the way up to $6, you're grabbing 500% just like that. Not too bad of a look. You have an aggressive pullback. Are you going to get a continuation? I don't know. It's tough to see, but it's tough to say. Essentially, what you have here is a channel to the downside. It looks relatively weak, in my opinion, and you have a couple strong up days, but you just move so quick, so fast. We're talking about the same thing in Tesla, that it might take some time in order for it to ever climb back there, if it will. We can take up we can look at the overview ANTX, and see what we have going on there. Therapeutics is a biopharmaceutical company. The company is focused on discovering and developing novel small molecule therapies. So a lot of stuff that Sharif would definitely know a little bit more.
Yada,
Yeah,
pharma.
Exactly. So, I mean, there's some news along those lines. We can look at it. But other than that, like, you had that strong move. You're not seeing too much continuation aside from the 4 strong sessions that you had. And then I'm seeing some short-term bearish, but that was last month. So nothing as of late other than yesterday. Biomed, we can pull it up. And a lot of things that I couldn't even tell you about, to be honest with you. There's some fundamentals, but just be prepared that these things move really quick. They'll break out, but then they tend to come back in relatively quick as well, too.
Yeah, that's the thing, is they're here for a good time, not a long time.
Exactly.
Someone was asking how car halted, it didn't move enough. I'd have to double check, but we've seen the halts. Sometimes stocks don't halt when you think they should, and other times vice versa. It could have gone to the halt, but I don't want to speculate. I felt it had moved enough, but it doesn't really make a difference. Robinhood does a bottoming tail right at the 87 level, so it didn't feel right when it did at 88. Feels a little bit better at this higher low. And again, we'll take our shot. Already scalped it to the 88 level from the half, and looking for that volume-weighted average price. If this candle closes green, then I think it can be added to and then tighten the stop. But if it doesn't, then it's a simple, okay, you get some out for 50, you lose 50, and it'll be more of a flat trade than anything else. Because I still feel like we're pretty heavy on the downside. And then, of course, car. Is that not open yet?
It's that old rap song called The Speculators or whatever. You know,
The Speculators?
You know which one I'm talking about.
Actually, I don't.
Oh, really? Oh, man. It's not.
Car's bouncing, by the way. Shoot, it's bouncing nice. This might get back. If this gets back through. Oh, regulators. Oh, obviously, I know regulators. What did you say?
The Speculators.
Well, it's a trading show.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. Hey, there you go. That's a good rap group name there.
The Speculators?
Neil and Adair, the Speculators. Yeah.
Regulators. Mount up. That was a jam. The Speculator. No, come on, son. Speculator. Car is back over 400, so really, maybe it was just that one push down through 4, and then the low here is 380. It's coming right back into the upside. Tesla caught a nice bid here. Is this going to turn into a VWAP kind of deal on Tesla? There's like that 86, 87 where it stalled out. Is support going to turn into resistance? Oh, and we should always look at AMD. We're saying to Joe, AMD and Palantir, those two stocks, if they fail a breakout, are like the most violent in the other direction when they fail a breakout. And that was just the high, literal high on the daily break, triple top. This we just closed a 15-minute bar with a rejection. If that's a continuation red candle, AMD is a short setup for sure.
Heart to heart. No, man, I've said some ridiculous stuff. I mean, I was close, man. We were close. Guys, we're in some MISC, as you can see.
Well, you know.
I mean, you know what I mean? We were relatively close, not too far away anyways. Yeah, but see, everyone else knew what I was talking about. I was like, this figure.
I know.
Yeah.
Look, man, it's all good.
Yeah. No, I wasn't messing with them. I generally thought it was something. I knew it was something around the laters or whatever it was. But anyways, aside from that, guys, MISC slowly starting to recover. Why am I going long on this name, Los Pollos? Why can't you trade this? I know you're saying it's a gray out for you. But here we have a bunch of buying pressure. I don't have very many shares right now, considering if we break through the volume weighted average price, but if it rejects it, then we'll just get out of Dodge, maybe at a break even at this point with this one and just remain flat. But if we break through, hold, then I'm going to like our chances for a continuation. And with that being said, I want to add substantially to this position. So it's 30 cents right now. We like what we see. Lots of buying pressure, the volume supporting it. So MYSE being a nice dog for us here today. The rest of the market is selling. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit more downside in the NASDAQ. As I typically say, you have to be cautious on what's going on with NVIDIA. There's zero chance I'm shorting the market if NVIDIA decides that it wants to start ripping. It's starting to form a wedge, though. To be honest with you, I don't know. Like it does have a flat top, right? So, but we do have these higher lows here, and then we can just draw that flat top. So it looks like it wants to head in a direction. You just have to be patient and wait for a specific one. Same thing with Apple. If Apple's climbing, Apple's tanking, and the NASDAQ's holding up. And then also Google not doing too much. Microsoft, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing is starting to slide. So there it goes. With that being said, there might be a short here in the TQQs. I'm going to take my chances on that, to be honest with you. We're just above the volume weighted average price. I'll give it to the high of the day, and we'll give ourselves a little bit of risk on that one. But with all the larger participants really starting to sell, I want to get involved on some NASDAQ plays.
Yeah, I said it might happen, but it ends up the second trade being flat on Hood. Like, we were able to get half out when it went 50, and then you lose the 50 on the way back in. Tesla just held underneath. This won't be, obviously, this, whoops. Did I just actually type Intel when talking about Tesla? Oh my God, muscle memory. That is wild. It's not even close. Anyway,
close, my boy.
Seriously, like, at least be something that starts with a T. So Tesla doesn't quite get into VWAP. Obviously, the 400 break didn't happen, but VWAP hold, gonna look for this consolidation bottom. It's because that support in yesterday's trade is holding as resistance. That's just one of the setups that I like. So the continuation into the low we'll go for. I'm looking to scalp to the bottom. SMR is still showing no signs of trend break, but it's held the low. So I'm also eyeball on this because I want to look for like 1 or 2 good shots at a reversion on SMR. But the scalp for me on Tesla is now in. I still feel like it's going to have some bounce on it. I'll go to a higher time frame. I want to see if it bounces off this low. If it does, I'm going to scalp it out because I want to get closer to VWAP next time on the bid. 85, bit of a buyer in here at 85. Now they're trying to chew through this 85 level. I just canceled the offer. No need to have it snap me back into it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, good luck there. We're all at a MYSE, guys. We took some off here at 47 mark. Comes back in. You can see just the strength within this bearish print, so we're just going to get out of dodge. You got a 5-minute print on Apple. Gorab's talking about around these lows. Yeah, I just don't think that's a genuine enough candle. I'm not seeing that Apple 5-minute prior resistance turning support. I mean, there is a little bit of buying pressure right here, but in the grand scheme of things, those aren't typically the hammers that we're looking for. IBIT's really starting to slide here, Neil, and I think the market's going to start to participate relatively soon, and there it goes. There goes the TQQs heading towards the low of the day. You can see we're in at 71s. It's starting to slide a little bit for us. It's all about where the direction that this name wants to go. If it breaks this trend line, then off to the races. I think it is to the downside. Meta, Tesla still sliding. Meta not doing too much. Broadcom, how are you performing? Coming off of the high as well. So there's a lot of lining for the potential short here, and I like that the NASDAQ was lagging. We're all out of MYSE. We take some off, only 35%, then we get stopped out the remaining break even. But now we're short the TQQs. Let's see if we can get something rocking and rolling on this name as it's heading towards the low of the day. You might get a support system break, especially if this 55.60 level. You don't have too strong of a bounce. I like it. We're out at this pivot, so we had to risk about 20 cents on this trade here, Neil.
There you go. That's what you got to do. And look, I flipped into the scalp on Tesla. It's obviously not going to be the 400, but it just bounced off that 84. So I got a bit of a chase because I ended up with a 6.5 instead of like a 7.5, but it's still bouncing off of that low. Wow. Thank goodness we're not short car.
Did it just rip?
Halted up now on Avis. That's the thing. Sometimes you've got to take the profit. To each their own, man. Like I would not want to get my face ripped off. I probably would have scalped at least most of it out, I would hope, but it's now halted to the upside, 412. It just continues to murk people is the best way to think about it. So if this doesn't get back underneath $400, there's going to be there's definitely some shorts on that just got absolutely destroyed. All right, so no trend break happening on SMR. I did mention AMD, of all stocks, can be pretty violent when it loses that top. Absolutely has. You might have guessed. I always go back to, that's why I had Intel on the brain. When I'm starting to think market reverse, one of my favorite setups here is a false break of the high, short the volume weighted average price. So broke the high, prior day high, comes back in. If you fail that, short here at VWAP. Always comes down to VWAP. Best indicator in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the most universal one, right? Like everyone's there. It goes bang to the downside. I don't even have any of the animations or anything along those. Thank you.
If you just say it,
bang. Yeah,
I might have it. I might not.
You mean it? Boom. There it is to the downside on the TQQs. Again, we were just starting small on the short. Wow, look at Bitcoin go to the south here, Neil. The market's just really, really starting to move lower, guys. And I think there's just so many things. Apple is starting to find somewhat of recovery. Good call out there, Korev. But with the other names just kind of lagging, you had Google that was really on a slide. Who was the larger one that was just absolutely getting destroyed? Microsoft looking like it wants to take an additional leg lower. I like that we were holding up, and then it was only a matter of time until something just stepped in. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, we're going to continue this trajectory to the south side. A couple of strong sessions. I mean, we see this, right? You punch how many times have we seen this before, Neil? You punch the all-time highs, and then you just come right back in eventually off of it. That's how it typically works, right? Traps individuals who are looking to buy it, even though it's a good strategy in my opinion, if you ask me. You just have to be a little bit more patient. You wait for that dip, you get that punch through, and then you can engage. So there goes the market to the south side. High quality setup there. We're not going to complain about it whatsoever. So yeah, we're happy about that one. A nice little scalp on MYSE. We'll pre-sell a little bit more off the lows.
Nice. Actually, I was gonna ask where MYSE went because I like that.
It looked good, but then what I'm noticing here, you would probably, and Sharif and I were talking about this. When these small cappers are below VWAP, it's so hard for them to regain the volume weighted average price, sometimes regardless of how much volume is in there.
Sometimes they're just a short when it loses VWAP. That's why we like that indicator. Let's go to Adara at the desk for an update.
USO higher, the only major headline, and I brought this to you guys. It's now, I guess, a 20-minute-old headline, so we were aware of this, but basically Iran talking to Pakistan saying that they're not really sure if they need to have further talks with the U.S. unless they're thinking that things can actually be changed and things can come to an agreement. Furthermore, Iran emphasizing that that the U.S. must drop its, quote, excessive demand. So again, that's old. That's from 20 minutes ago. We're still getting this push up higher here in oil, but I just wanted to address, I'm not seeing other massive headlines. One interesting one being reported by state media here from a couple minutes ago, though likely not related to this drop, is Iran's planned Hormuz toll to be paid via Iranian banks. Again, not sure that this headline is going to be a massive mover, but I'll let you guys know. And as you know, if I see anything, always I will keep you well posted. There's no economic data at 10. Back to you.
There is no economic data at 10, but right now the story is I want to say it's not the first time, but this is probably the first time at the open we've actually broken any highs in oil. Like every single day that it's tried to buy up, it's always rejected, and now you're not rejecting the top. So this is distinctly different. That's at maybe 127. That could be a place to look for a curl. I think taking profit along the way is always a good idea, but that 127 does make a little bit of sense. I still have the eyes on CAR. I don't want to give up the notion here. It's trying to, again, fail the 400 level here on the 15th. So in 4 minutes, this is going to close over under that 15 level. I think that's going to be a big one. And wow, Robinhood, this is why you've got to get out. You can have a level that you want to play a bounce off of, but if the stock doesn't respect it, it doesn't matter. That'd be another key to have. I don't have an it doesn't matter key because you're coming right back into like some of the higher lows from yesterday in the morning. And that's exactly how you get rinsed. Tesla will end up being, like I scalped off that bottom. I think this can be a continuation play, but I want to see it get into the volume weighted average price so I can try to get a reshort in that. Just heck of a lot of weakness, but I got to watch USO at that 127 for a potential reversal play. And I know I keep looking at CAR. That's because I think the potential here, if it closes under VWAP. Remember, with CAR, you're probably minimum risking $5 on a trade, right? It gets all just like move decimal places in your head around. That's just how you got to think about it. But you're also thinking $10, $20, $30 moves. That's the other side of that coin as well. So NASDAQ looking weak, and that's probably because of oil. Until you break this trend, I don't know that I'd be looking for any long breakouts. Why are my fibs on there? Yeah, like unless you break this upward trend, I can't think about trying to catch any bids. It's just looking too incredibly weak right now. Not looking good, but that USO, it's about $1 from resistance. So if it gets up there, you know me. I like reversion plays. I think in this case, I'd probably look for longs that I like as opposed to the other direction. Appreciate it, Joe. So yeah, car, still looking for it. Flipped from Tesla short to Intel short for some continuation there under VWAP. This is more like a 15-minute kind of play. Like rejection of this high, put in lower highs. And this is one, as long as it holds underneath some of these tops, like 66 quarter, I wanted to see if I can work this into the low of the day. Sometimes you hit an all-time high, and this is what happens.
Yeah, this is exactly what happens. You come in. I haven't even looked at Intel here today either.
It did what AMD. Well, it did kind of what AMD did.
Like, but think about the run that Intel's been on for the past, like,
Stupid.
You know what I mean? Like, come on.
That's hot.
Yeah, it's hot. It's only a half cup too. If it's garbage, it's Fabian.
No, that's nice. No, dude.
Fabian told me which button to hit there, essentially.
No,
so we'll blame it on.
It was really hot.
Yeah. It was hot. I was holding it in my hand. I'm like, whoa. No, so
I kind of burnt my tongue there.
Oh,
I'm not gonna
you
lie.
ruined the palate, so now you can't even rate lunch today.
Bro, come on, son. Bruh.
Listen, come on, you got to rate the lunch. Essentially, so what we got going on here is now Neil, his palate is now hindered.
Not true.
Yeah, man, it's hindered, so we can't really take what you have to say.
I just feel
as for the rating standpoint. But here it is, guys. You're getting a pullback.
Come on, son.
IBIT was really weak. Tesla's still sliding. Like, it had that support level break, 393, and continuing to the downside. What's really a part of this NASDAQ pullback is what I want to find here. Is it NVIDIA, inside day? And I was talking about that. I think that's just kind of been the narrative. Yeah, it's been a break here and then a strong recovery here on NVIDIA. Didn't break this candle low. So what you can see is this first 5-minute opening drive. Wick here, this candle, Wick, it's holding it with that substantial amount of volume, now starting to come back in. In order for this market to continue to bleed, you're gonna have to see him. And oh, that's really nice on Apple, Gorev. Look at these 5 minutes. What was I looking at that didn't display that? But this looks really good here on the 5-minute. Now I see exactly what you're looking for. If we hold these levels and we slowly start to curl over, I'm most definitely going to be looking for a long here in AAPL. I like what I'm seeing. The volume isn't supporting the move, though, and I think that's something important. And we have to take into consideration that if it doesn't, then we'll probably have to just avoid it at all costs. Consolidation low, 262.33. Maybe if it holds up, that's a good risk to reward. You only have to give it 33 cents.
And well, you can see the activity in the markets, everybody, because that's how it is. And the traders, this is a good environment because it creates opportunities. And big moves are going to mean more setups, and more setups give you more momentum. But you want to take advantage of those conditions, you need a couple of things. You need discipline, that's important, and access to capital. That's where Trade the Pool comes in. Instead of being limited by the size of your own account, traders can access firm capital and focus on executing their strategy and managing risk. No more fear of blowing up your personal account. No more moving your stop loss too early because you're worried about your own savings. This is what we call limited risk trading. So if you want to take advantage of the volatility in today's markets without risking your own capital, visit tradethepool.com or scan the QR code now and get 10% off. And we'll go to Dare for what's happening now besides the market falling.
Unfortunately, Neil, the theme of this segment will probably still be market falling because all of the stocks that I have here are, wait for it, falling. Let's start here, though, with an overall market review because that's what we do here on Happening Now. As you can see, as Neil just did at there, S&P 500 is unfortunately near session lows. That is not one, not two, but trying to be 3 straight 15-minute candles to the downside. This most recent candle starting quite aggressively, and we're only 1 minute in. We have more Fed comments here this morning from Fed's Williams. A lot of these comments really echo the statements and sentiments that we've heard from Fed members over the last, I would say, couple weeks to a month now, saying that there are concerns here with inflation, with the Middle East conflict, specifically how that could impact energy and how that could further impact inflation, but saying, yes, we'll probably get that short-term inflation spike due to energy. Long-term, things probably do remain anchored. So more cautious comments that we are going to get Myron at 10:35. So expect lots of dovishness because that does tend to be what Fed's Myron brings to the table. Let's talk here about IBIT. Big drop here. Now, what I'm seeing is the reason for this is because we had that headline. I did mention it to you guys. Iran planning that the Strait of Hormuz toll be paid via Iranian banks. Now, we know initially reports were suggesting that this toll would be paid via crypto. So the the idea it's not going to be paid via crypto has apparently led to this drop in Bitcoin, IBIT, et cetera. So I wanted to give you guys that headline. Let's talk about some other things on watch, though. TSLA had a massive rally yesterday and giving up, to be fair, not too much of it, but dropping quite harshly here off the open. We had this one headline in addition to the AI5 chip announced yesterday. Bloomberg this morning reporting that Elon Musk is asking suppliers to move quickly on their new terafab plan. He's contacting the likes of AMD and LRCX, as well as apparently Samsung, which is a long-term collaborator. Right before the open, though, we had another headline suggesting that a good portion, like roughly a fifth of the Cybertruck sales in Q4 2025 in the US came from Elon Musk's other company, SpaceX. We also have to talk about TSM, one of a couple earnings plays here. Abbott Labs also reported, as did Pepsi, as did Schwab. But TSM, of course, probably the biggest name that reported this morning. We got a double beat and decent guidance for Q2 26. Netflix, big tech, reporting after the bell, should be on everybody's watch list. Back to the guys.
Thank you very much, Adara. So this was the thesis. If we got to the top, I was going to look for a curl. And USO just did a bit of a reversal candle in here. I spot NVIDIA is the one that I spotted because it held the double bottom. So there, double bottom from yesterday, double bottom from the morning. So that'll be a trend break. Ooh, Intel's taking out that VWAP. So I'll have to flipped over to Intel from Tesla. Whoa. Want to go, all right, I got to focus on NVIDIA for a quick little second here. I just looked up and realized when I came to NVIDIA long, I just missed CAR, and I'll show you why in a quick little second. But you can only look at one thing at a time, and this is a more standard setup for me. To sort of reverse, take the trend break, scalp to the high kind of deal, and it also corresponded with this on the future, oil futures, I should say. So oil futures kind of breaking, not really breaking down, but losing the top a little bit and reversing. And I wanted to look for a long instead of shorting USO, and NVIDIA is the one that stood out. So I wanted to get to that 96 or 97 half or whatever it is.
NVIDIA is moving, man.
It's just relatively, look, it's an inside day for NVIDIA, but the top was distinct at 200, and that bottom down at 196 was distinct yesterday as well. So if you're going to bounce somewhere, why not there? It happened to break trend and VWAP at the same time, which is something I'm a fan of. I have to take 42. That's my favorite number anyways. Right, so now I'm holding for 198 to see if it can press up. And I'm going to tighten the stop up to just underneath VWAP. Don't want to turn this one into a loser. 42 is the meaning of life from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Okay, all right.
It's one of my favorites.
You know what? When you say Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, it reminds me of Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. Ever watch that show?
I know of it. I can't say. Well, I know of it. I've never heard someone make that reference, but fair enough. Fair enough.
All right. So we have this short here going on with triple Qs. Let's see if Apple is going to work for us here. We are posted up at a good level. We're happy with where we're currently sitting here. But it doesn't look like it wants to go. And if it breaks the low of the day, we're out at 62s. We'll give it 30 cents worth of risk. And it does look like it wants to break down. There's a potential opportunity here on Palantir. But Apple, man, what's going on with this name? Well, the market seems relatively strong. This name just continuously over the past couple of sessions has not been performing very well. So maybe we'll avoid that. I don't typically trade it, but nonetheless, there was a good opportunity, and we had to just take the chance to see if it was going to work for us. And there it goes. It's into 82s. Let's hop out of Apple. It looks like it wants to take an additional leg lower while the overall market's holding up.
Apple.
Yeah, Apple, big time boo over here. There's a lot there. There's like some buying pressure. You're getting that slow curl over.
I just did bought Apple in my PA.
Yeah, but the thing is here, Neil, is like look at how the volume weighted average price is really is tracking here. So I mean, it could potentially turn around. We're not going to give it too much more room. NASDAQ moving higher, Apple moving lower. Okay, good stuff. And this is the main culprit right there. It's NVIDIA. So let's get out of Apple, find something else. That's it. You take the small loss on that one. We had a nice little trade on the TQs. We were trading MYSE, and then now it's just where's that next opportunity. If Apple doesn't want to cooperate, there's a good opportunity in Palantir off of the lows as well.
You know what's crazy?
What's that, brother?
Two things. We've always had this discussion before, but there are traders who don't trade with stops.
Yeah.
I'll never understand that.
What do you,
Like,
what
it's
do you
one
do?
thing. My favorite quote is, "It's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to stay wrong."
Yeah.
So like if I'm shorting because of a topping tail candle, when it breaks it, you've got to get out. Long, short, left, right, center. I don't care what you do. You got to have an out, man. Because otherwise, what'll end up happening is, like, you'll take. I was about to type Palantir because that's where my mind was going. Like, you'll take a shot at Intel, right, and stop it out in range. And then you'll have something like the NVIDIA trade. And if I even let it go like an extra 25 pennies, then the win on NVIDIA doesn't make up for the loss on Intel.
Exactly.
What I want it to do is that the NVIDIA will make up for like 2 Intels or something along those lines. Like, it doesn't really matter. It's just trading without stops, I think, is a little bit of suicide. But I wanted to show something which is a little bit crazy, because I never thought I'd say this.
It's not a little bit suicide. It is suicide.
Bird has a downtrend into a flat bottom. It's actually looking interesting and probably not the way that you think. I'm halfway thinking if it can hold this low, maybe a bit of a trend breakup. I love trend breaks, and it's a squeeze name. If it just holds that low, breaks the trend, look for a long back in here, and then just sort of, hope it's like take some out if it gets to $14, and then just sort of hope it goes on forever. And maybe the bird is the word. So that's a little bit on the radar. For now, NVIDIA, I'd like to see it get back into 98. It's battling at the $0.50. The issue is, I really thought that you'd pull back more on USO. It made the high. You're getting that trend break and the pullback. It's barely coming back in here. In context, we went up like $2.25 on USO and pulled back about 50 to 60 cents on that reversion. So without that extending further, there's probably a limit to how far we're going to go up. I'm contemplating whether I want to get a little bit more out.
Palantir really nice here. I mean, this was a pretty good print off the lows, and now it's getting a strong rebound. So I mean, that was a really good look. Multiple prints on the 1 minute time frame as well. So that was a missed opportunity. I'm willing to give Apple one more attempt. Someone asked me, "Hey Joe, why are you longing Apple but short the market?" I mean, to you, it may not make very much sense. So there we go. We're in Apple for one more attempt for maybe a climb higher. But you got to understand where I was in from the TQQs. Right, like I'm not going to do one and the other at the same price or at the same time.
Truth.
I'm in at 55.72, and then we were fortunate enough to take some all the way out at 18s. Right, so what I'm essentially doing is I'm trying to long Apple off of the lows. If I get stopped out of my 4 or 5% or whatever I have left here on the TQQs in order for Apple to climb off the lows, I'm more than happy with that. So positioning is extremely important on kind of just the brainstorming, essentially where I'm getting at with why I am doing kind of opposite there. So this is going to be our final attempt. Neil and I are talking about our at-bats. As soon as we strike out 3 attempts, we have our stop. If it cracks the low of the day, then it's out of dodge, and then Apple's might not participate. Palantir was definitely the one that I wanted to get involved with. It worked right away, but I'm thinking this might just be a little bit of a fake out. Hopefully we can find somewhat of a recovery here in AAPL. You're down 1.6% on the session, and was definitely not something that I was be thinking here today. But nonetheless, let's see if this one works. We're off of the lows. You have that additional fake out. This thing takes typically a little bit longer in order for it to really start climbing back. But we'll take it slightly ITM right now at 13s. Nothing substantial. We'll hold on to it for a little bit longer. Bang, there you go.
There was a good question about stop loss hunting.
Yeah.
And I'll answer it very quickly. Because I don't want to say it's easy, but there's an advantage that you have trading prop. Like if I get wicked out of a trade, I can just jump right back in. There's no worried about PDT or anything like that. Not that anyone's going to be worried about PDT eventually. So like Tesla was an example. Look at the 15-minute. I had the initial short. It ran the stop. What happens when it runs the stops and sets back up again? I'll adhere to it, but then when it sets back up, I just jumped back into the trade.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want it to extend all the way to 400 and just kind of hope and pray that it's going to go. So yesterday,
you don't like doing a little punch and pray there, Neil?
No. I mean, I know there's that jokes video that you see when you log into the show, but like that was obviously a joke, everybody.
Yeah.
And absolutely don't punch and pray or buy the dip and pray. So yeah, getting out and jumping back in, if I get wicked out of something, is a bit of a thing. Why is NVIDIA stopping if everything is coming back up? The market's trying to extend and NVIDIA's pulling back into VWAP. Well, maybe this will be a good situation where after the trend break, I can buy the dip into the volume weighted average price if it will hold. The other thing that I'm watching pretty closely is, yeah, you're finally starting to look like that snapback trade. Like SMR trended down. There was a bounce off 12, fair enough. It went like 20 cents. I didn't take it. I was looking at other things. But I don't think that's a good bounce at all. But you were into afternoon lows, and you're looking to break the, it's not the whole downtrend, but like this little bottom trend here. Bottoming tail candle. This is the kind of reversal I kind of like here on SMR. The bleeding has already happened for it, and the market's back into the volume weighted average price, so looking for this to get caught up. And it just comes down to waiting for an actual reason to get in. Like if I lose on this setup, I can live with that. If I lose just sticking a bid in front of a round number and getting run over, I get mad at myself. Because that doesn't, like that never makes any sense to me. Just sit in front of a round number and hope that it bounces. So we'll look for this trend break. I'll give it to, technically speaking, I should be giving it to this low, but if it breaks 1150 right here, then I would tighten up that stop, just because of how weak the stock is.
Yeah, good look here, guys. We're getting a nice little bounce. I mean, we're at a 1-to-1 right now. We could take a little bit off here just because I would like to see, it's pretty up and down here. We only have a $1 spread, but we're running into a resistance zone right in this 40, this 50, this $half mark at 262.50, and it's just not really having the ability to break right now. So let's see if it does. I think we'll have the ability to take that next leg higher, and then hopefully we'll be into 263 with Apple. Oh, I thought you were talking to
Andre.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So just let me know because I don't have access to it. But anyways, aside from that, guys, let's see. Lower high, not the best thing looking for it. Gore was telling me on multiple time frames there is some buying pressure, so maybe we have to sit in this a little bit longer. A nice little uptick right there, 5-minute time frame, showing some signs of strength. We're seeing it on the 1 minute, so it's coming across multiple time frames, and I think that's something positive. 3-minute looking pretty good as well too. Now let's just see if we can snap this secondary downtrend, break through this resistance zone at the 50s mark, and then continue to climb a little bit higher. That would be more ideal, especially with the overall market starting to take a bounce here, guys. So maybe a strong uptick. We'll take some off here on AAPL. Bang, that's exactly what we want to see here, guys, as we punch into 50s. We'll take 20% off right now just for good luck as we continuously reject that level, Neil.
Absolutely, and we got a couple of super chats in here. I believe Golf Franchise, we're about to get a breakout on Well, cross the 250-day the 250-day resistance of 211.86. Very, very specific on Well Tower. So we'll have a quick look at that. I know we've got another one that we'll get to. We'll have Andre throw that up in a quick little second. So, I always love these. There's something about when you break like one of these trends, where it's like a triple top. It's not like a flat top. Maybe not everybody sees it, but you've got a lot of resistance up top. Yeah, it's not a day trader. It's only done 89,000 shares, so there's not much you can do with it as a day trade. But that looks like a pretty solid technical break as well. You've already run like $40 into it though. We also have another one from Oscar Ruiz, I believe. Oscar, thank you for the super chat there. What do you think about Whirlpool long term? You know, I will cop to this. I don't think I have ever pulled this chart up. I gotta be honest with you. I don't think I've ever pulled Whirlpool up.
It's like Lazy Boy.
Well, it doesn't look good. First, it doesn't look very good. I'm a much bigger fan of, I like to take my shots at bottoms when you can hold the 50 period or base out long enough that the 50 period gets down there and can be broken out. Like the example I will use is the hooded one. Like Robinhood, it's like, yeah, it's bad for a while and holds and it breaks the 50 period. Not really seeing anything to love there.
Oh, no, I'm good, thank you.
Sometimes you like let it. Yeah, it hasn't really made to me a long enough bottom. Thank you for the reload there.
I brought him one too.
Coming out hot today.
Too, man. There's no way, like, I don't understand. So I'll have a couple of espressos and
I don't finish.
I'm not good with caffeine, so I'm just I'm wired, dude. And then I crashed too. I crashed super heavy. What's up, my brother? Yeah, I crashed. I get the caffeine crash, yeah.
So Spike Joe's whatever.
Yeah.
Feed him caffeine.
Yeah, no, I crashed so heavy. You know what I used to do? So leading into gym class, I would drink a good old Mountain Dew. I would go to the vending machine in high school and I'd grab a Mountain Dew. But then after that, like my next period class, I would be so tired because I would have that extreme caffeine crash from Mountain Dew, yeah. from Mountain Dew. I was never good with that stuff. I'm telling you, like, it's like all that heavy sugary stuff. I was just never good with.
Obviously, that.
No.
Damn.
So what you're saying is now you Mountain don't.
Ooh.
Heyo.
I know the Americans love a good old Mountain Dew. Remember Mellow Yellow?
Oh, well, look, I got to talk about the market for a quick little second because look what just happened. We just got right back into the highs. NVIDIA ends up losing that VWAP. The battle that happened at 197.6 here, it just couldn't get one. So like the long will have to come out. I love the trend break. It'll end up being a good one, but it could have been a heck of a lot better if we'd gone all the way to set upside. The SMR trend break, I came in. I also have to redraw these. There you go. I always redraw the trend lines, not because it matters, but because to me it matters like why I'm getting into it and why I'll take that trade every time. Because it's not the same setup as NVIDIA. NVIDIA is a better setup because it's at VWAP and holding on to more strength. So that makes it better by default. But it's still that shot, give to the low, not any further. That's the only place I'm buying it. I'm not buying it any lower. There's a reason why I don't buy into that gap. It's just a strategy. A lot of opportunity there, but it doesn't look like it wants to hold. That's going to bring me back to CAR, hopefully. You know what? This is not dropping. It's under 400. Technically, it's failed this high, but it's refusing to fall here. That might not be the one to look for some kind of a short. DLV Sound is asking about HIMS. This looks better. That looks so much better. Remember at the beginning of the show, I'm like, I wrote down HIMS and SMR for trend reversions, and I couldn't decide which one. HIMS held on to the prior day close. So it held on to green. It's been putting in higher lows for the last like 20 or 30 minutes. Not too late now. It's still at VWAP. The market's right back in the low, so it's got a little bit of relative strength. Catalyst, who cares? It's got like a 40% short float. If it can hold this uptrend, this can be a continuation play. This looks better.
Yeah, I mean, there it is, right? Like, so the market coming right back in. We take a nice move to the top side. We get stopped out the majority. I was looking for that break, but that 262.50 seller just too strong, essentially. And then there was a reload opportunity in the T-triple-Qs right here, an inverted hammer. I'm like, you know what? I see that signal right at VWAP. You reject it. It's essentially a textbook right there. But nonetheless, let's go over to Adura for small caps.
I just want to let you guys know here, because as always, when we get days like this, I see what's the news. As I've said, it's still pretty rocky here when it comes to the dates and the times of further negotiations with Iran in the U.S. We know much earlier today, Iran saying, hey, not quite sure if we want to negotiate if there's still quote-unquote excessive demands from the U.S. Now, furthermore, most recent headline from a couple of minutes ago, we already kind of knew this, but Foreign Ministry spokesperson of Pakistan saying that there's no specific dates yet for a new round of talks. So unclear when we're going to get more updates from Iran and the U.S. Just saw a headline as well now from a correspondent suggesting that there's a phone call between President Trump of the U.S. and President Aoun of Lebanon. I apologize if I said that incorrectly. Let's talk about Onfolio. Get on with these small caps there. ONFO pulling back here, just open from a halt, pulling back lower here after said halt. They signed a $100 million equity facility deal with an institutional investor as announced this morning. They've got an $8 million market cap and a 4 million share float. Let's talk about ZSPC. There is no news here on Z Space, but you've got a $3.5 million market cap, a 14 million share float for ZSPC. This is a penny stock right now, trading around 10 cents, so be aware, pretty small. Let's talk last but not least about WSHP. This one does appear to be halted, and it's one that I saw a lot of people talking about in the chat this morning, pre-market. To be sure, we shop here. We've got a 677 million share float and that's a market cap here, $677 million. Float of just over 1 million shares, 1.34 million shares. So small float for We Shop, but more of an expensive stock as well. High of day just shy of 44. Back to you.
Halted like half a dozen times. Someone in the chat asked, where do I find the open price on Halt? It would be I'm assuming you mean the tap price, which would be the theoretical auction price. If you're at Real Trading and you have it piped into the system, then I can just look at pretty much anything on the imbalance locator. I shouldn't do it by size, I should do it by time, because then maybe you'll get the Halt name. There you go. It shows up. There's a theoretical auction price, which right now is saying 33.25, then it moves around. And this is a volatility halt, so it should open almost any second now for 5 minutes. This is in the SIP. If your broker doesn't have it, then request it from your broker, because if you can see a level 2, in theory, it's possible to get it. We have it also, like the imbalance locator built in, but it'll be on like my level 2 as well. Like I can see the tap value if I want. So I'm assuming that's the one you were looking at, which is WeShop. The other stock, if I'm still looking for these reversion plays, Bird is yet to break the low, but it also hasn't done anything to break the downtrend. So it's still holding that downtrend pattern into the same low. And then Robinhood is tried. Like if you just bought off the even dollar, like it would have worked, but the all morning trend break and immediate fail, like that's a bad candle, and then there was zero confirmation on the second, so it didn't even look good at all. Throw the super chat up there, Andre, anytime. You got it from the Jedi. Oh no, it's not Jedi. It's from. Oh, it is Jedi.
It is Jedi.
What is
Dominican peso? I think.
Oh, that's right, Dominican pesos. We got that. Yeah, thank you. Please take a look at Amazon. Do you think a reversion soon? Or this one could reach easily all-time highs?
Yeah, it will eventually.
Well, you have to remember, if you're looking at today, first of all, the NASDAQ's down 0.17%.
Yeah.
I just typed all-time high because I just said all-time high. See how the brain works? That happens
all
to
the
me.
time.
I do that so often. It's ridiculous how much I do that. This, to me, is a technical pullback. Sorry about the dark pool wicks. 250, once, twice, OB thrice, failures. Those are those stupid dark pool wicks. So you have a technical fail at a resistance high when the market's pulling back off of all-time highs. So you can, I mean, like as a trader, I'd probably be thinking curl at 40s or 42s where there was some support before, because that's a pretty textbook, fail the high, and then just join the trend into the downside. But this is what happens. Like you get into resistance sometimes and you pull back. Look at what happened to NVIDIA. Like it held VWAP. It didn't really give you as good of a bounce as it normally would. Good. But just like a good bounce, not a great one. USO continues to trend up and break highs. So the last time I went into a long, it's because I saw the top on USO and it pulled back a bit. Well, I'll probably look at the same thing. Like I'll go out to about this 127 area, there and there the last couple of days, and then look for a curl. And when we start curling on USO in the top of this range, then I'll start to like the longs a little bit better. And John B was asking about the open price, not tap after a halt. Well,
Wait,
I mean the easiest way to just check the open price is you can look at the candlestick and try to figure that one out. Like CAR halts to the upside here, the open was pretty much flat. So I can just look at the body of the bar if you have the right kind of candlestick.
The staples look pretty strong here today, Neil. The 5-minute. You have Walmart back up to 126. There goes the market. I think at some point I seen something on Meta that I was liking, but I don't want to just be bouncing around. Essentially, I would like to post up. Maybe we can get a little bit better of a price than what we got from the last time. I mean, we had 262.02s. Now it's climbing right back. It came back to our break even, so we just get out of dodge on that one. But we're holding these lows pretty well. So let's post up. Let's see if we can find something. Let's go see what Adara has though.
This isn't massive news here, but I think it's something worth noting. Regardless, we are approaching the date for the Kevin Warsh confirmation hearing for Fed Chair that's supposed to be on Tuesday, April 21st. But as we know, there's already been some questions about whether or not this confirmation is going to go smoothly. We know there are some people, even Republicans, who are saying that they don't want to have this meeting until everything with Fed Chair Powell and the investigations into Fed Chair Powell have been closed. Well, regardless here, it's interesting note. Now we have Democrats from the Senate Banking Committee here saying that Kevin Warsh's hearing should be delayed. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens here. We know it already was delayed. It was supposed to be this week, but then the disclosures weren't out on time. Now the financial disclosures are out. I have an infographic on XTTV research about them. But either way here, I guess now it's going to be a matter of will this hearing happen on the 21st or will it be delayed further? Because we know there is a want from the White House to have him confirmed before Powell's term ends in mid-May of 2026. Back to you.
Thank you. Yeah. Adios, JP. Aside from that, guys, this is what I was looking at. So what we can do is we have the secondary trend, if you want to look at it, get into more detail, the tertiary trend right here. This hammer candle holding up, so you have the bounce off of this specific one on the 5-minute on the 1-minute time frame. You pull back, and then now you're starting to display another one right here. If this breaks, then thesis invalid. You want to give it a little bit of room, but as soon as you break the lower end of the wick, it's essentially no good. I'm still going to keep my eyes on AAPL. for a potential bounce. You have this shelf being formed now, so in a liquidity grab south of that maybe, but as long as we continue to hold up and you use this as your out, got to risk about 40 cents or so, or 60 cents, 80 cents at this point, which is quite a bit, but I understand it's a $262 name. So you want to just reduce the size, obviously, and then once it cracks that the low, you just get out of dodge. But, I mean, it's holding up. You're having somewhat of a V-shaped consolidative. Maybe we get a sustained bounce here as the market is slowly starting to grind higher. Bitcoin's bouncing. I said, I just don't think this looks like a long. And I think it's important for us to know to see what the strength is like on the uptick side of things. If it seems relatively weak, then I think just avoid it. But Bitcoin dropped $1 from its pre-market high. I should say, earlier this morning. So I mean, maybe somewhat of a rebound considering. And we were also talking about the other day, Neil, just kind of that iron condor trade from, I think it was like 45 down to 38. Because Bitcoin's just going to continuously move sideways like this. You may as well try to take advantage of it in some ways.
You know what I just remembered too? There's 2 IPOs today.
Okay.
There's I'm putting them on my list. I just have a quote board that I throw up so I can see the imbalances. One of them is Arxis, 1.2 billion expected, priced, I think it was between 25 and 28. I think I heard 28. And then Madison Air Solutions, the one that for some reason I thought would be cooler, but it's actually some kind of an air filtration thing. 2.5 billion size and also in the mid-20s. So I'm just going to throw those up so that I can track what any imbalance might be on them. They usually don't open until after 11 o'clock, but I want to have them up. Now, to your point on IBIT, look, it tried to hold first support. It's now filled. See, you got a bottoming tail that filled in the gap to these prior resistance levels, but it hasn't really, it's like it's made the wicks, but it hasn't broken the trend. That's the problem. Like, it's just nothing about the downtrend that is broken yet. And I want to say yet, because I think there's still a chance. Also, Robinhood as well, like it's filled in some of the gap, but the late morning support, it's made a distinctive bottom. And this is looking a little bit better for a higher low, I think, on Robinhood. So yeah, USO continues to kind of trend higher. And someone had asked why, when there's all this turmoil going on, would you trust technical analysis on USO? That's the reason why I'm trading. Like I'm using turns on USO to make longs in things that I'd already be looking for a long in anyways, and then just using that for confluence. Like not saying, because if I really, it's a turn in USO, I'd just short that. But I don't want to be that headline driven. I want something which has its own reasons to possibly be bouncing first, and then use the timing of USO to possibly push it, help push it along. Dara?
You just be aware here, USO and watch, we're getting some commentary coming from the Middle East. Iranian State TV reporting that Iran's military commander did inform, I guess, the commander of the Pakistani army. So Iran's commander telling Pakistan's commander that Iran is ready to respond forcefully to any aggression. So as of right now, no aggression, but I mean, Iran basically kind of indicating that they are willing and able to respond to tensions. Just be aware, tensions do not seem to be going away, unfortunately, here with the situation in the Middle East as well. Keep an eye on names like Zoom here or SKM, both of which are affiliated with Anthropic, with Zoom actually having invested in Anthropic. And I say this because the Claude Opus 4.7 model from Anthropic that was teased out a couple days ago, it's apparently officially been released. Back to you.
Hey, yeah, good stuff. We're taking our third attempt. This is our final. So, Neil, we got a strikeout. And then we're on base essentially with the second trade here on AAPL. Third one now, we're back to at bat, but as soon as if it fails, this one as the market is slowly grinding higher, Palantir has been definitely the better play here.
Get the singer, you can always steal second. Just watch out for that slide step.
Yeah, exactly. So again, we might ground out here potentially. We got 2 out essentially, so we'll wait and see if it works as the market's climbing. Apple's doing absolutely nothing.
Apparently, all you got to do is put the damn ball in play.
That's all you got to do is put the small ball sometimes, Neil. Small ball.
We lost last night because they got a bleeding swinging bunt and another swinging bunt and then a weak ground ball to second base. Yeah. That's what our guy gave up in the 8th to blow the lead. They didn't hit the ball out of the infield. Every single one was a dribbler that I could have hit, and they just found the right spot. Sometimes that's just how it is. Can you tell that it's been a frustrating start to the Blue Jays season?
It has, and the thing is that you want to turn, I know it's a long season, but you want to turn things around as quick as you possibly can.
You can't get too far past, not in this division, you can't get too behind.
Too far behind, yeah, exactly. It's like in most divisions, especially with the Yankees playing some decent ball. But yeah, below 500. What a crazy turnaround, though. I mean, obviously riddled with injuries and everything along those lines, but it's not good. You don't want it too slow of a start.
No, you're in a long two. Here's the thing. This is why, remember I was just saying about take a long that I was already going to take and use the USO as confluence that it could be turning? Yeah, so there's that little turn in USO. Take the break, like the little trend break trade on Hood. We're already back at the high of the day on USO. So like if I'm using that for confluence, I've already double tapped out. I normally wouldn't have taken half the trade out halfway to the volume weighted average price, but I feel like the fact that USO is pressing back into the highs, maybe we're just not going to have as much strength, and we're going to be leaning into more trend breaks or just scalping if you're looking for a long than anything else. Like if it gets to VWAP, I'll be plenty happy if this trend continues. Yeah, a lot of strength in the oil markets for sure. Taylor said, Neil, you were supposed to short Bird today. What I actually said last night was, I think the better play on these is when you're able to short it overnight, because it's like the day one and it can't hold. It's the gap underneath. We're day traders. Like I couldn't short this overnight if I wanted to. Yeah. Ultimately, and so that just sort of is what it is. I just thought that was the better opportunity because you have the chance to gap down if there was like an offering. You have those sort of simple fact. There was a big rejection at that 21 level. Like, you could do all kinds of crazy stuff in the aftermarket, but you come back in, there's probably going to be some profit takers. That's not, it was never about just coming in and randomly shorting any particular price. It was just an observation with what was going on at that 21 level. But we're just day traders here at Real Trading, and we can't hold positions overnight. The only way that it happens is, and it happened to me live on the show, I was caught in a halt. It was on Spirit Airlines. It was like a deal speculation. It opened back up at like 3:30, so I was trading it to the long side, and then was holding on to a portion of it, like getting out and holding on, and then it halted at like 3:45 and didn't open up till the next day. And I gave back everything I made and then some because it was deal speculation. There was no firm answer the next day, so it just gapped down on me. And I still had like 20% of the position. It sucks. It's a bad beat. There's nothing you can do about that. But you still can't hold overnight intentionally.
So essentially, before we go over to Adara Papacito, I don't know, where'd you go long? If you were longing throughout all of this, good luck. You definitely lost money on that one. But at the end of the day, if you somehow managed to catch the bottom or this pullback, then congratulations to you. But look where we're short from. Oh, my thing doesn't even, I don't have the highlight thing. So yeah, we were short from up here, and then we get that move all the way down, and we get stopped out of 5% or so of our position. So not too bad of a look there. I mean, if you managed to do something.
Do that?
Yeah, well, because remember I'm on a new domain, so I don't have all those tools. What? Yeah, I guess I don't have that feature. But anyways, aside from that, it's definitely a good trade here. Apple's starting to work for us, so yeah, sure. I don't know about that, but anyways, congratulations if that's the actual case.
Goodness.
There it is. A nice little short to the downside. You win, Oppo. Congratulations to you, Adara.
CRM gets the Burry bump. Michael Burry announcing on Substack that he purchased some CRM shares. It's now going to be 3% of his portfolio position, and he purchased them at $178.89. So he's, $1 or so in the money per share or per option or however he purchased it. Again, CRM Salesforce getting a benefit here from Michael Burry announcing that he's gotten involved in this company to the upside.
Yeah, I mean, good for him. I still say Steve Carell's character was better in that movie than his. Just more entertaining is what it is. I cannot believe AMD. Right, so just a quick update. I'm looking for VWAP in here on Robinhood, but at this point, the stop moves back into break even, or I should say the trail. Technically, the trail should come back in to the break even spot. I'm just not gonna. I won't let the last of this, if it fails to get to VWAP, turn into a loser. But my goodness, AMD. Wow. Yeah.
Awesome.
Whew. 270 is the high. It is right back into, what do we call it, blue sky setup. This is an absolute rocket ship today. Crazy. Oh, and by the way, that Bird's not as liquid as you would think. Or maybe you do think it. I don't know. To each their own. It was less liquid than I thought because I didn't trade it yesterday. So I didn't really have much of a concept of what it will look like when it broke this trend. Suffice to say, it was a little bit explosive. And on the confirmation candle, basically went from the confirmation break was 1250 all the way to 1350. And now it's already coming back. This is a little bit different. I think what that means is you've got to have less shares, wider stop. if I'm going to get it on the way back in. So yeah, I did not get that trend break because it wasn't very tight, if that makes sense to everybody. And to me, like, I'm not chasing it all the way up here. If my trade is want it there so I can stop to there, there's a difference between risking 50 cents and $1. I don't like it that much on Bird.
I mean, there it is. We're going to take a break-even stop out. I mean, the market's climbing higher and Apple's doing absolutely nothing. So we'll go 1, 1, and 1 there essentially on this one. Whatever it does after, if it decides to climb, so be it. But I just think that with the market climbing and it not participating, any down flush, you're going to see a breakthrough this. Or it could go back towards the top side. So not too bad of a look there on Apple. Then we obviously had the TQQs trade not too long ago. We were talking about that a couple minutes ago. And then also MYSC was a nice little long for us. So we'll be patient. We'll wait for some more quality opportunities. Reef and I in about 20 minutes or so. Nice little move. You get stopped out a little bit here, but nonetheless, we'll take it. But yeah, dude, Gorb, Palantir is definitely the best one. Trader Day Palantir keeps sticking. Yeah, I mean, Palantir was definitely at 142 and still continuing to climb. Apple decided that it didn't want to participate in this uptick. Right? Someone was talking about long IBIT. Sure enough, you get that move in towards the volume-weighted average price. Looking absolutely fantastic. So things are looking good. You're getting that recovery. Even though you have a downtick in the SPY, I'm going to assume that the banks are going to be relatively weak. But there goes NVIDIA. Look at this strong uptrend here, Neil. The consistent higher lows, and it doesn't break. It eventually only breaks to the top side. So you want to see the volume really start to uptick as we continue to climb a little bit higher. Apple still hovering around there, not doing too much. Google, same thing. Very liquid today on the 1 minute time frame, surprisingly. So Amazon, how has it been performing? Looks like it wants to curl back over. So maybe the market is looking to do so.
What was that indicator that you were saying? What was that? I've never heard of it. What was that indicator you were just talking about?
Oh, VWAP.
VWAP, huh? Well, if you happen to be interested in learning about the volume-weighted average price, see how we do this, then we talk about it. You've seen us talking about these. You can go into live trading. There's like full playlists, and whoops, I went to the wrong one. I didn't want to actually click on live trading. Education, where we have a lot of educational videos, and it's not just the volume-weighted average price. Why pros use VWAP. We talk about like picking the right stocks to trade, relative strength, things along those lines, finding the perfect entries, pre-market price levels, looking for relative strength and avoiding weakness and strength, stop buy and top. I like this. There's lots of stuff that we're doing. And if you have any ideas as to things that we can cover, we're always interested. So we just sort of pick, it's auto-playing something, or I'll get rid of that for everybody right here. We have about 20 minutes to go, but just one quick update, because I feel like we're just not nearly strong enough, and it's this trend up that we're seeing in USO is not really getting enough of that press. Like the futures are starting to come back in. Hood couldn't get all the way. I'll end up, if we break out of this but without getting to VWAP, I'll end up 1 for 3 and flat on it. Ideally, I was like 1 for 3. I like to be up, but if it doesn't get to VWAP, I'll be 1 for 3 and flat on that bad boy. You mentioned NVIDIA can't seem to break through. I'm hanging a lot of this on. What's been different today is
I might try another.
It's just that we're not breaking down in USO. That said, I'm drawing this. Like, see from the volume spike here at the open, first dip, second dip, third dip, fourth dip. We have a bit of a trend break that's happening again here on USO. And if that does happen, I think that can be a nice little reload potential. It's 10:40. Let's go see what's happening in the overall market or in the sector board, because it should be sector watch. Yes.
Here's the sector board for today. Before we get into that, I have a couple comments I want to let you guys know about. Apparently, I mentioned earlier President Trump on the phone with the president of Lebanon. Seeing reports now from Israeli media that apparently President Trump told Lebanon's president that a ceasefire with Israel and Lebanon would be declared in the coming hours. So very unclear how that's actually going to come to pass and what President Trump's involvement in that could be. But I'll let you know if I get any more details. Just be aware for oil. Furthermore, Fed's Myron actually commenting a little bit less dovish than he normally is. He's saying that even before the war, the composition of inflation was becoming, quote, more problematic for the Fed. He says at this point he might only see 3 cuts for the rest of the year, which is much more cautious than some of his earlier estimates. He also said, though, that he still thinks it's reasonable to expect core inflation and housing inflation to come down Let's talk here about the sector board now that we've gone over that. Energy minerals, as we mentioned, oil on watch. Oil, very strong today as a group. Communications doing incredibly well. We start to see these report next week with AT&T reporting, I believe, on Wednesday morning, but AT&T and TMUS both up nearly 3%, 2.5% to the upside for Verizon. You've got some strength here in half the electronic tech names. So you've got Micron, AMD, Cisco, TXN, and this name here, SanDisk, are going to be strong. But then you've got some of the other names here like NVIDIA, Apple, and Boeing and GE all pulling back. Finance has some weakness too. Morgan Stanley on day 2 earnings to the downside. Schwab on day 1 earnings down a notable 5%. Producer manufacturing red, consumer durables red, health tech red, Abbott Labs down about 3% here on earnings. A lot of these sectors, though, guys, are kind of mixed. There's not a lot that's behaving super strong or super weakly. It's mostly, like I said, you've got some strength in energy, minerals, and communications, and some weakness in some of these manufacturing and tech names. Back to you.
Thank you, Adara. I just saw in the chat someone asked, why is ONFO halting so often? A cheap stock sometimes doesn't have to move as much percentage-wise for it to go into a halt. It's got almost no liquidity. So when it does open up, for it to move 10%, it can do it in a heartbeat and really quickly and have trouble stopping when it gets to the halt band. I can't even count how many times. I'm not going to, but it's a bunch. On my thing, it's at least 10 times halted. And when you see that, expect more. It's a weird thing. It's done 125 million shares, so you're like, oh, it's incredibly liquid. But there's a difference between the amount of shares done and then the actual liquidity that you see if you're trading it. That makes any sense to anybody. Like when it opens up, look at a level 2. It's doing millions and millions of shares. So much of it's in the dark, but it's really just oscillating from one big order to another, and there's just a bunch of stuffing in between, which can make these ones really tricky to trade. Not many day traders, like I never trade something that looks this crazy because it's so easy to just get chopped up from halt to halt. Just going back over to Hood, I moved it to break even. I guess it wicked break even on Robinhood. I might jump back into this. Take a second shot at it if it can hold on to. Bounce from the low, bounce higher low, take the breakout through 85. Technically really holding that trend line. I might still take another shot at this going into VWAP because USO is continuing its move back in to the downside. So I think this could still go. And maybe just sort of taking the scalp was the wrong way to go here. I'll see if I can snag my way back in. Still got some time.
Got plenty of time.
Well, the market, the Qs are at VWAP. USO still backing off of the highs. I think like the continuation long is still there in some of these bottom plays.
Google really helping climb this market. We tried one more attempt, and I'm like, yeah, what am I doing? Google's climbing higher, so we'll go 1 for 1 there on the TQQs. That's fine. I don't know. We'll have to wait for a curl over or something. I'm getting that feeling here on Tesla, getting that turtle shell type price action to get as close to the volume weighted average price as possible. But yeah, NVIDIA is starting to climb back towards the highs. So you have 0 chance of having a successful short if Google and NVIDIA, in the TQQs that is, if Google and NVIDIA are going to continue to climb a little bit higher. Is Apple starting to get a rebound? We've taken our stabs on that one, 262. It's doing nothing and heading towards the low of its support level. So glad that we got out of that one when we were supposed to. Did you guys already cover PL movements today?
Planet Labs? I don't think we have. Look, we discussed in the pre-market some of the space names, I suppose, but that was mostly looking at Rocket Lab and ASTS, if we're being real. I don't think we looked at Planet Labs specifically. Well, 12%. The theme here is so strong. I don't wonder if the moment for these will be when we get closer to the SpaceX IPO. It might signal some kind of a top. But until then, this one's all systems go. So much stronger. Like I was saying, how ASTS is weak. Hey, look at that. Rejection of 100, no good. Lower highs. Got that Global Star competition with the Amazon deal. And then Rocket Lab was okay, like a Rocket Lab better chart. Yeah, that really continues to. Yeah, Rocket Lab better chart, Planet Lab best chart. So I think the space is still looking good as a group and has some momentum behind it. At least in potentially up until that SpaceX IPO, but you really have to pick and choose. And again, ASTS just specifically, if you looked at that Global Star deal, what it does, it took away a potential client away from ASTS particularly. I think that's why they're weak. That's why they were weak yesterday. That's why they're a little bit relatively weak today, would be my guess. But maybe it starts to forget about it and break that 90 at some point. Who knows?
Yeah, but a strong recovery in Bitcoin here today too, Neil. I mean, you're right back at the volume-weighted average price in Bitcoin. The SPY isn't above VWAP right now. The TQQs are, the NASDAQ is, so SPY a little bit weaker. Tesla slowly starting to curl over as well, guys. You can see the turtle shell price action starting to form. And then sure enough, we're running into the pre-market resistance zone. So this might be a good opportunity, but again, you have to take into consideration, I think we're gonna just lock in these profits that we had here on the TQQs and then avoid it for the short. So I gotta find something and maybe just flip the switch a little bit on thinking, hey, are we going long once again today? And would you put it past this market once you have these larger playing? Yeah. We're double duty today, Mike P. So yeah,
Joe's putting that work in.
Put a lot of that work in, man.
Not playing around.
We're on the screen in the morning. We're doing getting the activity ready for everyone at nighttime as well too, to see what we got going on. I heard a lot of good feedback.
I heard running 5Ks last night.
Yeah, exactly, dude. By the time I get home, take Milo out, feed him, work out, work on the options activity. It's bedtime, man. Food.
That's a. Nice to have time in the evenings. Like I think so. Was it you I was telling about when my daughter had the evaluation? I had a 10 to 15 minute window on Monday from when I got in the door to have. Well, I didn't get a chance to eat, but to get my daughter fed and to the baseball. And then like when we come home, it's like get home from that, get a chance to quickly eat myself, get her ready, and then it's like basically do that and go to sleep. And as I'm doing all of it, I can maybe throw the game on my phone for some me time. And it doesn't matter, but you don't change it for the world. It's like the best. It's being bored sucks. So like when you're busy, it's actually a good thing just to stay active.
Time goes by faster.
It does, which that cuts both ways. That's good and bad. But just to go quickly back to the market, if we can. What I don't like. Okay, I was about to complain that this was happening, and I saw a pretty good move back in Bitcoin, but that the re-entry into Robinhood wasn't going anywhere off that 85 level. Now it's starting to go, but it rejected the 85.5 and then 86 level. So this time I will take some out I'll take a little more on the way up and then hold for VWAP, just a little bit more aggressive inside the range as opposed to before, and then see if this can continue to go for us. But I'll tell you right now, AMD, now 5%, and still at fresh highs. Who was that? I don't know. I'm trying to remember who that guy was. Handsome Devil, who said that NVIDIA was a better dip buy than AMD. I don't remember what his name was.
Who said that?
Oh, I just, I don't know.
That's a genuine question too, though.
It was probably someone on this channel who has incredibly good taste in football teams. Like I said, devilishly handsome, and great taste in food. I think as well. I don't remember who that was. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't Sharif. I'm not sure who it was.
Okay, all right.
I was wrong about that one. This thing is up 35% from the dip buy. 35% it's up from support. NVIDIA is up, we'll do some napkin math, 14? 15, 16%? I'm just doing it in my head. Well, it's not as much. So, that ended up being incredibly wrong. Obviously, I'm joking. That was me. I said that.
All right.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, good.
We have 10 minutes to go here until we go to 11. Well, you're doing full work. I was going to throw you guys to the midday.
Yeah, we're going to throw it to the midday. Sharif's coming back from the gym swole.
The position board keeps crapping out. I'm still in the Robinhood long in front of 85. I know we're going to go to Adara because it's time for some money talks, and then we'll figure out what's for lunch, even though I don't have the email. So I'm going to try and hunt to procure it. Adara doesn't have it either. Maybe Brendan does. And if I say it loud enough, he'll send it to me, and we can figure out what's for lunch.
Oh, okay, yeah. Adara has the menu, though, too, doesn't she?
I don't have it.
Oh, you didn't have it?
You don't have it either?
I didn't. I wasn't listening. Selective hearing. Anyways, aside from that, what was I going to say?
We got to go to Money Talks, right?
Okay, let's go to Money Talks.
Yes.
One thing I can say for certain is with 100% certainty that we will have food for lunch, but I guess we'll find out what food. soon. Let's take a look at the U.S. dollar, which is bouncing actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-day losing streak trying to be broken. We're almost taking out yesterday's highs in the DXY. It's been a pretty boring week when it comes to economic data. Other than that, kind of cooler than expected PPI print we got a couple days ago. But again, other than that, it's been pretty smooth sailing. Nothing too exciting either way when it comes to the data that we are getting in here. We did get some comments from Fed's Myron today. He's actually coming in a little bit less. I don't want to say hawkish because he's not being hawkish, but he's being slightly less dovish than he's normally being. He's saying now that he thinks maybe 3 to 4 cuts this year instead of the larger, at least 1 basis point cut that he expected, or sorry, 1% cut that he expected throughout the entire year. Also saying that there's no reason to believe the cooling trend in labor is not continuing, and he also said that it's irresponsible to blame tariffs for the inflation. So whatever you say about inflation, it's definitely not tariff related. So yeah, I mean, some comments from Myron. It's been pretty boring out here, guys, when it comes to Fed and economic data. It's going to continue tomorrow. Couple Fed speeches, nothing crazy. But on Tuesday, we are expected to get the confirmation hearing of Kevin Warsh for Fed chair at 10 a.m. You know I will be watching that with all of the excitement and joy and reporting it all for you. Back to you.
And we shall appreciate that for sure. Just realized we didn't do a poll. I got an easy one for everybody. This is some low-hanging fruit, okay? We made fresh all-time highs yesterday in the market. We kind of ticked it in the pre-market again, and we bottomed out and we're back to the green, and we're trying to get back up to the top. So will the market regain all-time highs today? All you got to do is type a number into the chat. It's a 1 if you think we're getting back to all-time highs. It's a 2 if you think that we are not. And then we'll be able to crowdsource some market sentiment here. You know, we're back above VWAP, but can we actually follow through? This is a little closer to the 50-50 that we've gotten accustomed to when we do these types of polls. In fact, it's now it is 50-50. So that already, a lot of indecision already. I actually thought this might favor the nose, just given the way that things set up. But if you're staring at an AMD chart, you probably have a very skewed idea of what's going on in today's market, that's for sure. Super strong bounce there in AMD. There's pretty much nothing like advanced micro device today. And if there is, and we're missing it, the other thing that I want to encourage everybody to do is when you are typing symbols in, there's zero shock about what's number 1 on the locator. Make sure you also do the $sign. So right now you're voting with the 1 or the 2, but always do $sign. AMD, rocket ship today, small cappers world, ONFO, MYSE, WASHP. SoFi we haven't looked at. Tesla we did, SMR we did, Oracle, Robinhood for sure. We're in that one right now. But yeah, SoFi we didn't look at today, and that's actually number 5 on the list. Okay. Well, like everything else, false break of the high and then trend down. But this is so similar to the Robinhood chart. Look at that. Those are eerily similar. Consolidating, trying to get VWAP, can't seem to do it. So I would probably feel the same way. A little bit less push. It can't seem to break that 19 level on SoFi. But these are still okay. Like, look at the last 3 sessions on SoFi. It's like boom, boom, boom. Market gets to all-time high. You get a bit of a dip, pullback, consolidation possibility day. I think that's relatively healthy here after the last couple of sessions that we've had. Sometimes it's just not going to follow through every single day.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Neil. I mean, the market running into those pre-market support levels, starting to reject a little bit. We're going to take another attempt. I mean, we have AMD starting to come back in, Tesla heading towards the low of the day. So let's see if we can get this. We're in at 91s. We obviously want to wait. There we go. Clean flush to the downside, Neil. There it is. Bang. Hit that 1-to-1 right out of the gate. But we're going to see if we can hold this towards the volume-weighted average price. Again, I go back to the same book. Is essentially, we got to keep an eye out on NVIDIA and Google. If those guys are going to continue to climb, aggressive selling there in Google, this is exactly what we want to see. So let's see if we can diamond hands this into the midday, back into 55.70, and wait for that. But a strong rebound right off the jump as NVIDIA is continuing to climb. This is going to be our last at bat on this one, right? So if we try the short on it, we get 1 to go, 1 doesn't go, and then this one decides that it wants to break through this 56 high, then we just get out of dodge and we forget about it, because if this largest name in the market wants to continue to climb, our chances are slowly narrowing. for that to work. Now here it is, 198. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Just the way that everything is just getting continuously bought up. Oh, that is not good. I'm out. I'm out on this. I'm out on this TQ trade. This is not what I want to see right off of a trend. So that's a break even for us. We'll take it for what it is, but there's zero chance that I'm going to be going against that signal right here, right at this trend line hold. So you have that hammer candle pullback, and then boom, off to the races it is, and then NVIDIA is putting in a new high of the day. So yeah, glad we got out of that one break even. As soon as I seen that, you just get out of the trade. We hold zero loyalty to any form of a trade. We just get out when we were supposed to.
Exactly. You want to be loyal to friends and family, not to a trade. Or just to your setup. That's the only thing that matters. You be loyal to the setup. So this is crazy.
It's crazy.
I don't have the lunch email. You don't have the lunch email. Brendan doesn't have the lunch email. Adara doesn't have the lunch email. So I'm going to guess what we have for lunch.
Whoa.
And unfortunately, nobody's going to like what I'm going to guess.
You've seen it. So you've seen it.
Sharif is... Apparently it's already here, so I'll be able to show everybody a bit, but I'm just gonna make an educated guess as to what is for lunch. We haven't had fish this week.
Oh, yes.
I don't know why you're excited about this. We had like this pancake for breakfast. It was tasty, but there was no protein.
I liked it.
There was no protein.
It was all carb.
It's all carbs. So I'm thinking we're unfortunately gonna get tilapia today. That's what I think is going to happen.
I think you're
we're doomed with the tilapia because we have not had fish yet.
Hopefully they didn't mess up my. Hopefully they didn't mess up my my request there, Neil, because I said no tilapia.
Well, we'll see what we
get. Bro, this guy.
That's me. First of all, Sharif just said, "I hope you get tilapia," which is not very nice.
It's not at all.
That's just not nice, Sharif.
Crazy,
man. Got to be nicer than that. We only have like 1 minute to go. It
is definitely going to be tilapia.
By the way, this ONFO, to its credit, even though it's a continuous halt fest, it's still grinding higher. Are you in this?
No, I'm head up.
Oh yeah, Joe's gonna slide over. Joe's doing double duty here. We'll let you slide over. Good. Go ahead. Get yourself set up. Do what you got to do. This is not broadcast television. It's not like 11 o'clock hits and we have to throw it over. We can do whatever we want and we can get there. We'll get there. We just want to. Joe's on all day today. He's filling in for Sean and doing the midday as well. And then he's coming back at 2 o'clock and we'll wrap things up. Take you into Netflix earnings, which we didn't even talk about today. Speaking of, hey, there's some relative strength for you. Off the jump, Netflix. Right? Like a lot of times going into the earnings, I don't necessarily love the stock on the earnings day. Like you want to trade it like after the news. Sometimes it can be a bit of a chop fest. But bought up in the afternoon going into today, bought up into a weak market, holding a trend line. Yeah, Netflix actually doesn't look all that bad at all. I'm just still in that Robinhood. I did miss the trade on Allbird, but it's not like it followed through all that much anyways. Like even if I had taken this on most stocks like this, you'd say, well, you could be long between 50 and 75 and then take that move for 50 to 75 pennies. That's good on a $12 stock. I feel like on Bird, that's not what I'd be shooting for because I look at the days range of $4 and I'd be thinking a scalp is at least $1. But it's trying to go. So Bird's looking okay. Like I said, we're already still in that Robinhood, and we'll just hold on for the volume-weighted average price there. I was looking at Chris Onion in the chat just said HIMS is failing VWAP. This is another one that's never looked all that strong to me yet. And it's failing VWAP, but it's also failing the morning trend bounce. Like that's actually, to me, usually a short setup on HIMS. If it bounces here and breaks out the high, I'd go long. If it breaks that top here, I'd go long and then give it back into probably like 75 or so. But HIMS is starting to look a little bit weak as well. I can't even, there's so many small cappers moving, I can't even usually speculate as to what Sharif is trading. Usually I would say something like, oh, I bet you Sharif is on this, or I bet you Sharif is on that. Oh, you are trading ONFO. Okay, well, look, everybody, a lot of people are looking at ONFO. 250% up on 150 million volume. If you're a small cap trader, you're almost certainly trading, or at least looking at UNFO. We do have a super chat before we throw everyone over. Where'd it go? Well, I don't see it. Why don't I don't see it on my board? Yeah, this is the one. No, it was actually a different one. So Adam James abroad, ONFO, go, 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 let's go, another green day. This is the one that I don't have on my board to be able to show you guys the way you did there. It's from Greg. We just got it from Canada. Canadian dollar action. That is a wrap for today. A grand on NVIDIA. Thanks for doing the show. Great stuff. Appreciate you. Yeah, NVIDIA's it was a good long. It's just unfortunately, like I pull up multiple times. AMD just ended up so much better. AMD's an absolute rocket ship. We'll be back at 2 o'clock. I'll be back with Joe at 2 o'clock. But you know what?